All right, let's play the video because I know how to do.
And
Haha! I knew it.
Okay.
Nobody.
And
Hang on,
can
so-
you know?
It's
Somebody click this, please.
perfectly done.
hi, there's a girl there
Yay!
somewhere. We can't hear him.
And
Yeah, we can't
As
hear
you
a thing he's saying.
oh wait. Now you
Oh,
can.
yeah.
Now you guys.
Oh,
There we go.
good.
So hi everybody. It's new for me. It's new software for these guys. New software for me. New computer. New setup. New everything. So it's a long march. Kingmaker season 3, and we're testing out here today on our session 0. Basically, all of the new stuff that we've been working here on Encounter Roleplay. We're working out all the kinks. Apparently, mics are sounding odd, weird. Sometimes we're going to troubleshoot issues as we go, as we touch buttons, and I screw with things because, man, this shit is crazy. I want to show you guys a thing. I want to say, look at this, and then I go back, and I'm here. Anyway, we got session 0, so that means that we're going to be chatting to these guys, and we're talking about our characters, talking about the long march. You guys are going to ask us some questions, and we're going to test things as we go. So. We have a cast here. Let's introduce everybody. We have Tall School with us today. Tall School, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing good. I am excited to see all of the new, fun, exciting things that are happening. New software, new production. Holy cow! I'm looking at the screen, and it's like people can like see, count like every wrinkle on my face. It's before it was kind of like there was Vaseline on the camera. Everyone thought I didn't realize how old I was, and now it's like they totally like, yeah, Squall, yeah, he is kind of old guy, yeah. But whatever. I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward to all of the fun stuff that this new campaign is going to show us, have for us, new character for you, which I can't wait to introduce. And yeah, how you guys doing? How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
Great stuff. We have Jessica with us today. Jessica, how you doing, my friend?
Yes. Hi, I am great. I'm excited to join the cast, first of all, because I'm the newbie. Yeah, it's really exciting to be here. And I mean, the equipment's new to me anyway. But so far, so good.
Yeah, we're nailing this whole thing, guys. We're nailing it.
Yes.
We
We're
also
getting it.
have
It's fine. This is fine.
all the way in the Americas today. We have Josh, our dungeon master. Josh, how you doing, my friend?
Everything hurts. Absolutely everything hurts. I'm recovering from jet lag and some Irish bar and stuff.
Because that's what you want to do when you come from Europe, is go to an Irish bar in America.
Yeah, it was good.
Nailed it.
It was good. The most,
It was Lawrence
Yeah.
Spike, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, no, I'm super excited to go through, sort of meet all of the characters, get people interacting, and yeah, get some get some background on who everyone's playing, because we've got a bit of a different vibe this season. There's going to be a lot more sort of politicking and different sort of vibe, less craziness. Oh, you ruined everything. Thanks
I want to be able to talk to the people and.
I'm super excited, but feeling really rough. Traveling out here was brilliant, but I'm here now, and this is the most comfortable chair I've ever sat in my life. Oh my god,
Good times.
Great stuff. And we also have Tia with us today. Tia, how you doing?
I am good. I feel great. Fantastic. I didn't drink before March because I was like, hey, we got a show tomorrow. Maybe we shouldn't have any alcohol. And yep, tip top. I'm happy to be bringing to life Sarah, and I'm super excited for this campaign because I love political campaigns. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy adventuring and hacking up a bunch of stuff, but good times.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're just going to dive right on code.uk, over their website, get 5% off on all of the good stuff that they sell, over their dice products, and tin trays and stuff. Old sound is gone.
No, you're back now.
You're back now. You disappeared right at the D&D dice thing. I think
out.
you clicked something.
Is that me? I think I might be passing because we're doing cool things in the engineering stuff right now. We're multiple chats are happening. It's not me controlling things now. Like we're in a computer inside a computer on someone else's computer in a computer in the Netherlands running the software. So anyway, we're sponsored by D&Dice.co.uk. Expect kinks like this to happen during today's stream. Go over the site, get yourself some sexy, beautiful dice. You can also go over to our sponsors, Fantasy Grounds. We're using Fantasy Grounds throughout this entire season on Engana Roleplay as our virtual tabletop of choice. So go over to their website and get yourself a beautiful license. But let's start this session 0. Let's start by talking about our characters, I guess. That's something that we could do. We could introduce who the hell we're going to be playing this go around. So, Tool School. Last season we had Gavin. This season we've got whom?
This season we have Calvin, who is a bard, who is well, he's just down there from the freelance, and he's up to come and go see what this Kingmaker is all about. And he's just as happy as can be to get up here and meet all these fine folks, see if he can make some new songs, find himself some fame, and just pleased as punch to be around and hang out with all these fine folks.
There we go.
Oh, this is going to be great.
Amazing.
So yeah, he's just going to lickety split right up the road, just like Jackrabbit, to see see what's going on. Just slicker and deer shit on a doorknob.
Oh, no.
He's out there. He's all charisma up. He's got the actor feat, and he's got a prodigy feat, and he's just got skills coming out of everywhere. Not the most book smart person on the block, but not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But he will be your best friend all day and all night long.
Oh goodness!
Sounds amazing. Wow, I can't wait now. We should begin right now. Great stuff, Tool School. Jessica, who are you going to be playing this season?
Sure. I will be playing Lucy, the human wizard from Breckendale. She's a alumni of the Breckendale Mages Academy and is out in the world trying to write the histories of the war that came before, just to meet people and kind of get their anecdotes and collect it into a volume. It's kind of going to be her life's work. So she's out to see this whole king-making thing so she can have a front row seat when history is happening and be the first to write it.
Nice. I'm looking forward to meeting Lucy. Tia, I don't know anything about your character. I've learned that her name is Sarah and that she is also a human.
Sarah's a little bit of a troublemaker, you see. She didn't get taught proper either, and she's been looking to get a little bit of her adventure on. She's a 14-year-old girl, and she's lost her parents, sadly. I'm still working on that one. Not enough time for it. I've got the expert here for the practice.
Yeah.
But she's 14 and a half years old. Her father died in one of the wars in Eider, and her mother passed away from famine when the Fiend Touch came, and she just kind of found herself starving and running on the road, and she's gonna end up hooking up with the party, hopefully, at some point. We'll see. Maybe she just goes off and does her own thing. Sarah.
Sarah.
Oh my God.
Sarah.
Zara.
Are we going to say her name?
Oh my goodness, this is.
Oh, she's a human fighter. Sorry.
Yes.
And
yeah.
I'm the tank of the party, allegedly. So that scares me because she is 14 and a half and like,
Put her on the front line.
like 90
So we're all going to be hiding. We're going to be hiding behind a 14-year-old girl.
In the past few years, I've rolled an 18 on for a stat, and I'm sorry, that's kind of a big deal to me. So I'm excited. I've never had a stat in forever.
I support this. I support
Very
this.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She doesn't understand magic, so seeing a wizard is going to be really interesting because she comes from a really impoverished area. So even seeing something as simple as a cantrip would be like fucking mind-blowing to her. So to see a wizard, she's just going to be like, what?
Oh. Just wait until you meet my cat, Sir Rick.
Do we have a Rick after having a Morty from last season? I will lose my mind.
That's her familiar.
Yes! I love you so much!
You're welcome.
Rick and Morty together again.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
It's actually Sir Richard, but I call him Rick because it's easier.
See, I haven't thought at all
Hospital
about. I haven't thought at all about my character's
who's
voice. So now I need.
Well, buddy,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
I could go Irish. I'm playing
Do it.
Curtis. His name is Curtis. It was a toss-up between Iago and Curtis, and now I really want Iago, but I wrote on my PDF Curtis. So I'm
Alias?
really debating whether or not it's
Oh, come
worth
on
it
now.
for
Curtis
me.
and Calvin, best friends going through the countryside. You know it's going to be the
Maybe
best
it's-
day of ever.
Maybe it's Curtis Iago Fearson, which is his last name is Fearson.
Ooh.
I was debating between Fearson and Fearson, but I felt like Fearson's nice and scary. He's a human rogue. He's from the Freelands, which is this sort of big collective of nice people in a long march, is what I've understood from what Josh has sent me, probably incorrectly. And he is a traveling diplomat, basically, and that's how he's met Calvin in the past. He goes from town to town, city to city, kingdom to kingdom, and he searches out the ways to get kind of shit from other people, and that may be that he helps them out in some regard, and in turn they then help him. But his job is to basically get as much shit for the Freelands as possible because they're like starving and dying. So he's got a wife. Don't know her name. And
Is it Iago by any chance?
Wow. My wife is named Iago. That might be my son, but no kids. Yeah, he hasn't seen her in several years because he travels for like years at a time, so he hasn't seen her for a long time. So he's kind of got a bit of a God, what's the movie? Gladiator thing going on. You know, he's been away, not really at war, just like traveling for a long time. So he hasn't seen his significant other in a while. But yeah, that's what I'll be playing. Josh, I'm gonna hand this over to you, my friend, because this is your session 0. How do you want to run this thing? Yes, she is an actual loving wife, by the way. She is an actual loving wife. As far as we know. I have sent Josh secrets.
Yeah.
So
Always a mistake.
I mean, I don't know if you want to share those now or later. I mean, I'm happy to, but
No, we'll let that play out. We'll let that play out at
Okay.
a later date. And if you guys want to find out, you're just going to have to turn up and watch. But in the meantime, we have, so season 1 and 2 were focusing mostly on, people coming back from war and trying to figure out what they were going to do afterwards. Mostly terrible things. Terrible, unspeakable things. You're all pieces of garbage. Jess, you come in clean sheet, clean slate. Don't need to worry.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that Fantastic Encounter Joshua is going to put us through a tough time playing Dungeons and Dragons?
No, never.
hang on a minute.
Whoa.
This doesn't sound at all like the long one.
So, we've got in sort of the situation in Ita at the moment is that a war has just ended. It was a 10-year-long war, but nearly sort of maybe 40% of the population has been killed. I mean, it's been rough, and there were a lot of demons involved. I should be explaining this to you guys because you should have already seen seasons 1 and 2 if you haven't checked all of that out, and links and stuff will happen. But you can you've sort of seen that it was a pretty nasty war. It got violent and got down and dirty in places, and it was pretty terrible. But we've also got the secondary problem, which is a worldwide famine, and this has become something that it's no longer about, you know, so much as kingdoms and riches and armies. It's about being able to feed your people, about being able to sort, you know, your stuff out, make sure that, you know, your armies are fed, you don't have massive amounts of plague, starvation, and things are not going well. Into the mix of all of this, we have the kingdom of Rivercroft. Now, Rivercroft used to be sort of a powerhouse when it came to agriculture. They supplied almost all of the crop yield to Breckendale, which is where Little Cup of Joe's character Lucy comes from. Breckendale is a pro-military, it's pro-human, pro-military, expansionistic, and very hostile towards other kingdoms in the way it conducts its sort of diplomacy and stuff like that. It's got a lot going on, which is not always seen in the best of lights, but they have always relied. They've provided troops for Rivercroft, and Rivercroft has provided food. So that's going fantastically well. But during the war, both Breckendale and Rivercroft were entirely overtaken and occupied. So when everyone got pushed back and they reclaimed their lands, the first priority for a lot of people, 7 years in, starvation already a huge problem, is how do we feed the men that are fighting on the front line? How do we feed our people, our kingdoms, as we're trying to retake? So priority was take fertile land and start growing, harvesting crop as fast as physically possible. This led to an organization arising called the New Free Fields Coalition, and they're non-military. They're mostly made out of wood elves from the Scotswood Forest and farmers from literally every kingdom. Who, if you lost your home, if you have the skill to actually provide labor, and you can actually help with crops, they'll take you in, and they'll make sure you are fed, you are housed, and everything like that. It's just a conglomerate of everyone, and druids from the Scotswood Forest, who are really isolated and have played next to no part in the war whatsoever. And everyone kind of went, that's fantastic. We don't have to worry about that. You'll send food. Fantastic. And they did, and the supplies kept coming through. The problem is that they have settled in 2/3 of the kingdom of Rivercroft, and they have no authority to be there, and they are causing trouble now because they are refusing to relinquish the land that they are setting up in. They have locked down borders to over half the kingdom, and it's now essentially seen as a hostile takeover. But they have almost all of the food stockpiles, and they have promised everyone will be fed. But their main priority, what they've said vocally to the outside world, is they will not let one kingdom come in, claim all of the food, and make sort of a power play for that. So it's not gone particularly well. The final ingredient into this concoction of our first episode was the fact that we have the Prince of Rivercroft returning, who left as a prince and is returning as not the heir. He's lost both of his parents, and he is waiting for his coronation. And a lot of people are using this as an excuse. The war was about 6 months over now. He's finally able to return safely home. And it's going to be interesting because everyone sent diplomats and other wholesome folk have come to a big celebration for his coronation shindig. But a lot of people have also sent spies and informants to find out what the other kingdoms are planning to pledge to this new king and how he will try and handle reclaiming his missing parts of his kingdom and how that's all going to play out. And the party is going to get mixed up all in that business. So on one side, you've got a lot of the Elven kingdoms. On the other side, you've got Breckendale. You've got the forest to the south. It's a very small kingdom. It's not going to be pleasant in a lot of places, and there's going to be some hard times ahead. So everyone's very much looking for securing as much produce and food and supplies as they can for their kingdom and for their people. But that's the problem when food becomes essentially worth more than gold. It's going to be a resource war if it kicks off. So hopefully the party won't flare anything up because you guys have a way of resolving things peacefully and quietly that I adore.
I am playing a chaotic neutral character. I will not be playing an evil character.
Really?
Not a good character like Hayden from season 2, but definitely someone who is going to be a lot more cohesive with the party overall. Especially as a young girl, I think it'll be a lot easier to just kind of like glom on.
Yeah.
I think Curtis / Iago, we'll call him Curtis for now. This may change by the next time you see me. I think Curtis also is very used to kind of like schmoozing people, and is probably just quite an easy person to get along with, because he does genuinely want to help people. He genuinely wants to help the Freelands, but he also will help other people. You know, if he comes to Rivercroft and were to find that they were in danger or needed help, he would, put his life on the line to help them. So I think he will be a lot more cohesive with the party than my last character, Gregor, as well.
Alas, poor Gregor.
Wow.
Alas, poor Gregor.
Oh,
We didn't know him well.
okay, we went there.
It's gonna get emotional.
I'm gonna start crying again. Like we just got.
So Lucy is neutral, good, and intensely socially awkward. Intensely socially awkward, but it kind of makes her charming. At least I hope it does.
Well, aren't
That's
you
the
just
plan
pleased with
anyway.
the button in the drawer?
Oh goodness! Please don't talk like that.
Curtis, he gets along with everybody. He just makes friends with everyone. He walks in wherever he goes. He makes friends. So I figure it's going to be pretty, Gavin could be a little pontificating at times, but nah.
Oh my god!
Gregor's done. I love it.
Gregor's on there. It's been a command for a little while.
Oh.
I never saw him come on.
The other interesting thing about this season is, so for seasons 1 and 2, we haven't had a single human other than Gavin. Everyone's been sort of elves and dwarves and
now we're all
drow and terrible things. Now the party are all one race, and this.
Why did you say terrible things after drow? Why did you put drow in?
Terrible things
Oh my.
on my left here.
Well,
So we've got a party this time for season 3, which are going to be they're going to be dealing with a lot of prejudice together, which is going to be interesting. So all of the guys have got together.
Are we are humans in their position of privilege in Ita?
The two main human kingdoms are Rivercroft, which has never really been it's I think for you, Will, and certainly for a lot of people out there, if you think like old school sort of 15th century England, so a lot of nothing, a lot of rolling green hills and plains and that sort of thing, and then on top of that you'll have like a keep, probably like a Mott Bailey sort of castle, and then you'll have like a small township that's sprung up around that. Breckendale has full-on cities and infrastructure. Breckendale is it still has the largest standing military. It's still it's in the process of rearming. It's in the process of making weapons, armor, and stuff like that. It does a lot of trade. Not necessarily the most magically gifted of places, but something that I love that worked really well with Lucy when she said about being a war wizard is a lot of their magic prowess comes from practical magic. So it's not about sort of the flourishes or anything like that. It's all about what can I do? Can we bridge this gap? Can we move troops here? Can we heal these people? What can we do to sort of push the whole country forward, or push certainly our forces forward? So they don't necessarily have as much. Their culture is considered slightly more barbaric than sort of the elves and dwarves, who have sort of ancient blessings and destinies and guidance, and they are still finding their footing in the world and are doing it quite aggressively, defending themselves, sort of putting themselves out there and saying, we are human, and we will do it our way, or we will disagree with you quite vehemently. That's how sort of it's viewed from most people. However, humans are varied, so I think it's nice because we've got some interesting people in the party, with some interesting sort of blends. On top of that, the freelance, which is where I believe two of you, Calvin and a man who has yet to be named, are coming from. And the freelance,
Curtis Iago.
I'll call him
Curtiago.
That you guys are coming from the freelance. Now the freelance are basically sort of almost scrubland kind of. They're not particularly fertile lands. They're not particularly advantageous in their location. They don't have much natural resources to speak of. There's nothing really going for them, which means they've kind of just always been a large area that is controlled by keeps and lords and nobles, but they don't really have a central government structure. So it's a lot more, which is why they're suffering quite a bit, is because they don't have many representatives who come from, a badge of authority or come with, the seal of the king, because they don't have any of that. So it's going to be interesting to see how they sort of almost the underdog of the world comes and has the freelance, you get everyone in, you get humans, elves, dwarves, but mostly people who are there aren't from great noble houses or importance. But it's a place where you could start afresh. Does have a little bit of problem with crime sometimes, from time to time, but mostly they settle everything in-house and just get on. So it's going to be interesting. You'd know all about this if in season 2 someone hadn't turned around and said, instead of going on the freelance and getting on that boat, should we just turn around and go back into the underdark? That went well.
Well, I mean, we did stop a demon queen from spreading
together. Isn't it great?
Gone.
This is my first time playing a human, actually, in all my years of D&D, so I'm really looking forward to it. I want to bring in, the emotional uncertainty that humans have in D&D that I've always felt like. Elves, they live forever. They get to ponder their problems and wait around and, have a pint and see if it all blows over. But humans, they have such a short adventuring lifespan that I think that they're a lot more invested.
Don't talk to me about short adventuring lifespan. How many adventures has Gavin been on? Gavin's life.
Gavin's reincarnated.
Yeah, he never dies. I guess a question for me is, Curtis is coming here to be a diplomat, but what's the reason for Lucy and Sarah and Calvin to be arriving here? Because it's like a coronation that we're going to watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a coronation, but it's over it spans an entire week, and there are, to show unity and to do that classic thing of what can we do to distract the masses, let's throw a big party. People are sending a lot. There's not going to be so much. Everyone's kind of curious to know if there's going to be a huge feast in a famine and who will be invited to that and what sort of deal there'll be. But so far as cultural exhibits, there's going to be dancing, there's going to be singing, there's going to be cage fighting and all kind of everyone's sending people, and there's going to be like huge marquees and that sort of thing where people can just come and play your trade. There'll be, you know, stalls for markets. There'll be a lot of soldiers there, and a lot of them won't necessarily be serving anyone. Mercenary companies are going to be there in huge volumes, simply because at this point, with so many dead, a lot of people, you know, if important people, you don't want to travel alone. Everyone, with famine around, everyone's really clawing it in. So if you're traveling, you probably got food. Mercenary companies are a big sort of a draw there. So everything is going to be a real melting pot, and that's going to be something interesting for all of you guys to experience. But by all means, Lucy, what's sort of dragging Lucy there?
Well, the prospect of the party is certainly nice, but she's mostly there to see what will shake out of the whole coronation, and to really get around to talking to people there. Since it's such a big event following on from the war, she kind of wants to see if she can get anecdotes from people who were touched by the years and years of fighting. It's just a good opportunity to be able to make more progress on her book.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going to meet a lot of people, a lot of war stories there, and especially finding anywhere that serves alcohol, which is something that is actually, the food to alcohol ratio probably isn't that healthy.
Everyone's on a liquid bread diet.
Yeah, everyone. So it's going to be fun. But what about Calvin?
Oh, well, you know, you got to milk the cow in the morning. You know, when there is money to be made, you got to get yourself up there, and you need to take advantage of it. So it's also going to be a big old party. People from everywhere. There's going to be singing and dancing. There's money to be made. I might find myself a band. I've always kind of wanted to go on tour. You know, me and Curtis, we bumped around a little bit, but that was just down there in the Freelands. Luckily for me, he was heading this direction, so I was able to kind of hitch a ride, and no one wants to be out on the road all by themselves. So, yeah, my good old buddy here, you know, we decide we head on up, and I'm just here to see what all can be seen. You know, new experiences. Like I said, you know, I can smell opportunity when it's on the wind, and so I'm out here to take a little advantage of it.
That is a strong accent. That is going to be hard not to pick up. That is something that is.
Oh, just you wait. I've been working a whole week on all of my nice little colloquialisms.
Oh, no.
Sympathetic accents is such a thing.
And I still got a whole week to go, darling.
Oh, goodness.
I'm going to introduce you to Harriet Dawson sometime. Harriet Dawson. My Miss Harriet Dawson. She could hang around with you, and we can go talk all over the place. Maybe go for a walk, go up a tree in the back.
My God.
So yeah, well, you were
yeah. No,
yeah.
Oh no, yeah, no. Okay. I can't do the accent now because I'm going to. But Sarah.
That's why I kept mine under wraps.
Yeah. God damn it. Sarah. The coronation is a tractor, and she's actually traveling with a couple other people before she meets the party, who kind of picked her up while she was running from her, situation of starvation. She's traveling with Howard, a dwarven cleric, and a couple other people, and she had taken a little bit of refuge with them, and they kind of, helped her through that transitional period of her family passing on to kind of helping her get on her feet, and she had learned some military tactics from her father, who died over in Breckendale in the war there. And she wanted to be just like him. She wanted to be just like her dad. Like every time he would come home from a campaign or from basic training, he'd run through the door, he'd pick her up in his arms, and they would like practice. She'd get like a wooden sword, and eventually she got a real sword, and she finally was getting confident in her abilities. And with him having passed on and her mom gone, she just kind of feels that need to continue in her father's footsteps and fight, but she's not really sure what she's fighting for. And the opportunity of mercenaries, or perhaps, getting closer to the King's Guard, or just getting back in the thick of it and kind of keeping up that teenager energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's traveling with individuals who come from a rather different sort of background. We're actually I'm super excited because these are actually characters of mine and a friend of mine who have been traveling throughout. They're my Gavin or my Zune. They have been sort of wandering through different campaigns, but in this world, they have history in the Black Mountains, and they're traveling here as Howard is actually come as sort of an emissary, and he's brought along this 14-year-old girl who is, when he found her, close to death and really doesn't know what she's doing. So she's got some fight in her, and he's told her that there will be certain, if she wants to fight, it's probably, the military is maybe not for her. If she wants sort of a life of adventure as opposed to a life of order. And
before her parents passed away, she had actually taken what money her family had, and there weren't necessarily like arenas, gladiator arenas, but there were like underground boxing areas. And her mom being sick and her having gotten note of her dad actually went to like these basically like fight club rings. And she, 14-year-old girl, thinking, oh, I'm tough because dad taught me, got her ass handed to her, lost everything. Her mother ended up getting sicker and sicker because she couldn't afford the medicine because she lost all the money from fighting. She really feels like it's her fault that her parents died too.
There's a lot of it comes down to, when we were discussing sort of the backstory of it all, it comes down to going to a fight ring and you think 14-year-old girl versus fully grown man. But put yourself in the mindset that this man has a family back home, and if he's got to pace the 14-year-old girl so they live through the next month, I mean, it gets pretty horrible in a famine, and especially in poor places where people are straight up gambling like food as opposed to anything else, medicine, whatever they can bring. And if you then do that and you find out that she's it on her homestead, there's nothing else there to really stand in your way, you will find that having come back from war, a lot of people are having found that you come back to homes from the war and find out that there's a new lord in charge, and he's just the toughest person who came back, who walked in and went, this is mine now. Local government is way too busy to deal with this. This is small enough but powerful. I'm going to take this over, and I run shit now. And no one has time to go through paperwork and check everyone's in the right place. So there's been a lot of power shifts. But if you're looking for a life of adventure, the amount of mercenary companies that are coming as private security for diplomats, for everyone like that, it's certainly the best way to, it's going to be fun. It's going to be...
that is why my character is there. There's so much opportunity for adventure at a coronation.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Would any of us have previously been involved in any wars? We did the Undying Hero stuff.
I mean, this war has spanned the last 10 years, so it's really kind of inescapable. However, you guys don't necessarily, a war is... You probably played some kind of part in the final battle, but I mean, war is made up of all the small things. It's that age-old saying, "How does it go?" It's the lack of the nail. The horseshoe wasn't fitted and everything like that. And it's things make wars, battles fail on the small details. So
Proverbs.
Yeah. So was the freelance? Did the freelance get destroyed, or did it stay kind of off to the side during all this?
It was kind of... There was fighting, but I mean... So this will be interesting. And you guys missed something in season 1, and it never came up again. It was actually Gavin. Gavin missed something. I don't want to say.
What was it?
If you're talking about Cavian in the hand, I haven't forgotten.
No. It was much smaller than that.
Cavian.
It was much smaller than that. So something that was discussed with Clay. Gavin had a chat with Clay in the bar of the Pissed Fox, and the conversation happened. You asked him how long he'd been there, and he said he'd been there for quite some years. Clay, interestingly, never relinquished ownership of the tavern, even when it was under occupation by the Fiend Touched, because they still drink and they still have society. He just said, I'll keep pouring drinks, and there will be places where people were sort of living together, despite the fact you didn't really take a side. You weren't necessarily just killed in the streets, because the Fiend Touched, all they really wanted was to just be left alone and have a chance. And things got a little out of hand, breaking out into full-blown war with some of their more fanatical members controlling sort of the armed forces, but they still had families, they still had kids, they still had, kids like Scab who get mixed up in it all and don't really know their place.
Speaking of, families and people that are cherished and worshipped for I don't know what reason, how are buddies the Pentacle 5 doing? Did they, take a long walk off a short cliff or anything?
The Pentacle 5 may be making an appearance in the flesh for the coronation.
It being
a huge.
Of course they
Fuck
would.
those guys.
I mean, of course they
no.
would.
Go
No
5,
no.
I quit.
So,
Cut it all. Cut all of the new.
No.
indeed. So, as a quick refresher, because it's
for Jessica as well, because we're referencing things from.
a quick refresher. The Pentacle 5. I'll explain this where their inspiration came from. I've played with a lot of people over the years, being on Encounter and with friends and stuff. And one of my favorite things about role playing is, you guessed it, is role playing. But there are certain people out there who are all about the min-maxing, all about power gaming, murder hobos, people who just will go through every situation, like make all the calls in a specific way because it's all about getting more power, becoming stronger, everything like that. The Pentacle 5 are the level 20 heroes of this world, who sort of the rest of the world rallied behind in the final battle. They have very little regard for NPCs and low-level people such as yourselves, which means that from the public eye, if you haven't met them and you didn't serve and weren't privy to certain tactics they used, they are idolized as heroes who basically won the war almost single-handedly. That's certainly the way they've told it as well. They were the first people to come back. They literally, the final battle, they teleported straight back to the Elven Kingdom capital and told everyone the world, the war is over. We've won. We defeated the big bad. We killed Hex. We killed the demon that was with his pact. We saved everyone. And no one was there to counter any of that because they were still the other side of a continent into death on a battlefield, counting the dead, dealing with famine, all the terrible stuff that happens just after a war. So they've had, 1,000,001 embellishments thrown on them. They have been idolized. They have fan clubs. They are seen as the heroes of this world. But players don't seem to have taken a shine to them.
My hero, Sarah's hero, is actually a paladin that came from a place far away. His name was Gavin Fjordhammer, and she wants to be just like him.
God. Oh, God.
Sounds like it must be triggering for
What's
Josh.
wrong with the way that I talk?
Oh goodness.
I'm going to be just like Gavin if he went and fought the Fiend Touched.
This is going to be so bad. I might have to get Gavin back for an episode or two. It might have to happen.
If you need me to, I can do it. You know it. He's trying to get home. The crazy part is he's probably got Zune with him.
We talked about that briefly, how Zune and Gavin were going to travel on.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't they come
because I think Gavin's not done with Zune. Gavin's not quite sure that Zune is fully doesn't want her to be tempted again. So who knows? That could be interesting.
Zune's actually I know this is supposed to be season 3, but it's the only thing I'll say about Zune. I'm probably lying. Is Zune is actually thinking about changing her from necromancy. She's thinking about leaving it behind. Everything that happened and dying and coming back and whatnot. She's kind of going on a completely different path. But
but you guys have got the world. It's 6 months down the line, so if you guys find yourself, I have no idea where you guys will take this adventure yet, because I'm interested to see how your influence will sort of shape how things go from here on out, which is one of my favorite things about Long March, is finding out how you guys sort of decide to take things. But you guys aren't going to be quite as powerful this time.
Yeah,
So,
level 5.
level
That's going
5.
to be
So you're going to be sort of more. It's going to be interesting.
I
Not
don't like
every
that.
situation.
Yeah.
will be
Yeah,
able to be
it makes you be
safe
more
by
creative for sure.
field.
20.
What I
Yeah,
what I like about it as well is I like having like the slow level up, so I actually know everything that my
Mhm.
character can do,
Yeah.
especially like with classes that have more abilities. I mean, to be fair, with Gregor, I didn't have a lot to remember really, but especially playing like spellcastery stuff and the roguey stuff. I haven't played a rogue in for so long, so I'm going to get all of the uncanny dodge, the all of the
Oh, so
assassination.
fun.
I'm going to get that stuff
I've never
for a
played
long
a
time.
non-magic class before either. It's going to be weird.
Yeah.
I've
it's gonna be
never
interesting.
really played a dedicated magic user, so this is new.
Okay, right.
I
so
mean,
much fun, I'm so
mostly I've DM'd though, so
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's going to be
gonna
interesting
see-
being old Calvin. We'll see how that all turns out for me.
Well, I like it's going to be nice as well because there's a lot less hostility immediately off the bat with certain characters not being so confrontational all in time.
Zoom was a paragon of
looking
teamwork.
at you and then looking through the internet out.
Paragon.
Yeah, Paragon. So yeah, it's going to be.
That's an awfully big
it's gonna be
fancy word you're
interesting to see.
using right there, but I think that's an insult, dear.
you keep on using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
No more languages and no more sassiness.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
I've got an interesting question though for all of you guys. I haven't asked any of the players this beforehand, so we're going to do this live. Everyone panic.
Yeah, everyone panic.
Everyone be afraid.
We're doing it live.
I'm curious to see how do you feel your character would feel about the new Free Fields Coalition? So, just the basic is they essentially have enough. They've created a harvest in record time through union with druids, wood elves, and having almost every farmer who had nowhere to go has been given shelter there. They've locked down their borders and have told people, we're not going to fight you for it. We just don't step to this because we have all of the food supplies. You'll get yours. It's coming. They are rationing it out to each kingdom. And kingdoms that are larger are more likely to get more food. But at the same time, no one's been told when it will be delivered. No one's been told, if it's going to all go to like keeps or if they're going to try and distribute it to the people. How do you guys feel about an organization that is previously unknown, is about 2 years old, controlling one of the largest food stockpiles in the middle of a famine when very few people are aware of where their loyalties really lie? We'll go around. Will, what does that speak to your character?
It's funny.
Yeah.
I'm now thinking that like Curtis in character is thinking of changing his name to Iago, like by default, like in game.
It's kind of awesome.
Freefield, what? I was distracted as I was changing my name.
Yeah, just like I want to change my name.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to Rivercross because that's where the default station is.
Cost 1,000 people to change your name. Like you do it once for free, and then like there's that you got to pay for it. It's super annoying.
Yeah, I get like I can spend a lot of gold to get a free level up to 90, and then I'm good. Yeah.
Oh God.
Okay. I think I think that Curtis, I think he's got an open mind about it because they have like produce, right? They've got a lot of shit on their hands right now, so he is probably open to making a deal with pretty much anyone. He does have a set of morals. If it turns out they were like murdering people and making like human pies out of them, whatever, he wouldn't be cool with that. But if it was a little bit shady, he would probably be fine with it if it meant that food was being sent back home, because this is the world that it is. So I think he's probably okay with them as things stand, not having really interacted with them himself yet. So that's probably why he's coming here as well, to get a better understanding of who they are and what they're about, having just heard sort of
whose palms you might have to grease to make sure that people are gonna. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think.
What about Calvin?
Good.
Well, there's lots of bees in the beehive, and you've got to figure out what you're going to do about that. So as long as you don't have grasshoppers and the ants all fighting about what's going on, all the bees get fed, then I'm plenty happy about it.
Don't use up all your colloquialisms in session 0.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he's got more than a couple written
God.
down.
That's all I got to say about that.
Oh god.
Okay.
This is worse than pain and stab. Like.
But what about Lucy? How does Lucy feel about? I mean, coming from Breckendale, which used to essentially not really own Rivercroft, but provided its military forces, sort of like the big brother leaning over all of it.
Sure.
Having grown up knowing that, how do you feel about the whole situation?
I am patently not using the character voice at this point. Don't worry, everyone. You will eventually hear it. Lucy's kind of fan of things being orderly and everything in their place. So she's willing to give the benefit of the doubt that they are going to honor their word, but the lack of information would be a little bit cause a little bit of anxiety to her. But in general, she's kind of in this wait and see mentality.
I think, yeah, you are with a lot of people there of, awkwardly sat there waiting for, someone to make the first move. Maybe, someone make an offer, someone make, a military move. It could be anything at this point. But with everyone sort of, a lot of world leaders going to be there, and a lot of mercenaries going to be there. There's a real tension amongst people. And Breckendale, a lot of people are curious to see how many soldiers Breckendale are going to send, and if it's going to be sort of a moment where they make a play or anything like that. So it's going to be fun.
Yes, that would be the other concern. Is she going to get called into service suddenly, being out there if something happens? Because for all she's an alumni, I would assume that she's, still available to be called for service as a war wizard at some point if Breckendale should make some kind of a move.
Indeed. So it's going to be interesting seeing. We've got 3 people who don't really have such strong loyalties, and then Lucy actually has, probably spent some time actually training with the military. So it's going to be what sort of role did she play in the war, do you reckon?
More functional, I think. Even though she is a war wizard, she was not. I don't have her mechanically outfitted for combat necessarily. So she's more. She would have been there to kind of help control the field or maintain things or help tactically gain advantage if she was at all on any kind of front lines. So not direct confrontation type of role. Okay.
And another question. This is for Calvin and Curtis. You guys, during the war, having seen, you would have seen Fiend Touched in certainly right towards sort of like the late days of the war. You would have seen Fiend Touched before the tide turned in the Freelands. Were you guys sort of soldiers in any capacity, or did you find yourselves, trying to integrate with them? Was there any sort of difficulty with that? What was your experience like?
By the way, before I answer that question, Tremoir donated for a Wild Magic Surge IRL for me. I rolled it. I looked it up. Someone nearby is suddenly dressed in provocative leather attire.
See you later, Will.
Bye, Will.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Amazing.
God damn it, Trevor. I love you so much, Owie.
Oh, that's so good.
That was a thing.
Terms of service.
We should do that sometime, where we just have a show where we have wild magic surges and just like have a table that we've made for stuff at home.
For
and just,
real
like,
life
drinks.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
Must wear shirt inside out for like the rest of the cast.
Sorry, what was the question?
How we dealt with Fiend Touch.
How do you
Fiend Touch.
No, how do you? So during the war, go on.
I mean, I was actually looking to Will. I kind of think that Curtis was more of the adventurer, where Calvin was kind of working taverns. A couple times they crossed paths, and then when there was sort of the call for adventure, Calvin sort of went along. So, I mean, I can colloquialize our way out of this if you want, Will. Most anything I couldn't talk my way out of, he could sneak his way out of, and we would just keep our heads low and nose in our own business, because there ain't no business to get in anybody else's business, fiend or otherwise, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I think the way I'm explaining sort of Curtis is that he probably was a soldier, or this world's equivalent of sort of like undercover soldier, I guess, maybe like a behind the enemy lines sort of team, and that's where he learned his like assassination skills and was more roguish. I can imagine
he almost like a freelancer, so we'll find out, and then find out if, as opposed to like going to look specifically for something, traveling, sneaking his way through the front lines, making his way back to sort of Elysium or somewhere, finding people and saying, I've got information, I will sell it to you. Like, what do you want to know about sort of what's going on in the freelands, or stories I've overheard in the tavern? Like, Calvin gets nice and drunk and starts chatting, gets songs going, and like that. And while people are letting their guard down, Curtis maybe picks a few pockets, figures something out, or maybe Calvin sort of keeps people talking while outside people are dying. That sort of thing. Like, I like the idea of you guys having like almost a almost like a double act going.
Yeah, I mean,
I can see that.
It may not also be something that Calvin maybe wasn't aware of.
I mean, I can see that too. I mean, very much that I was just along for the ride, not realizing just how much business and sneakiness he was up to. I mean, I think I'd have a little bit of a clue. I mean, because just
he would
stat wise, my wisdom's okay. My intelligence is low. I was thinking that sort of book learning, but wisdom goes into like insight. So I mean, I think I would kind of know. Yeah, it's kind of like I think probably I didn't mention it.
I think he probably he would have shared some parts of what was going on if they're good friends. Curtis would have let him know about some of the stuff. Oh, when we were doing this, actually, this was what I was up to at the time. I couldn't tell you then, but
I also don't think he would have led me into danger without me at least knowing. To sort of keep my head up, and very much on some of your infiltration stuff could have needed the distraction, the support, the whatever, which Calvin would have been more than happy to have supplied again for the stories, for the whatever. Hey, have you ever been to Elysium? Well, hell no. Let's just head on over there.
Right. Yeah. So probably good cover for Curtis, but yeah, he would have been like behind enemy lines for a bit. And I don't know if he'd have actually like fought any fiend touched himself. I don't see him as like a very frontline sort of guy. But he may have had interactions with them, and then I reckon he was probably like scouted by the Freelands, like a city in the Freelands, or some NPC with power.
You have a rule that sort of, within his within his city. Probably your wife lives there, has have a nice-ish sort of house, and that's sort of, it's not about country, it's more about town, as it were.
Okay, so I've got like a local lord that I swear fealty to. So that would probably be it, and then maybe he tried to con the wrong guy, this lord, and he was like, actually, instead of killing you, I can put you into good use, and since then he does so. But yeah, if he's settled down, he probably does have quite strong loyalty to the town and to the Freelands as a whole. So in his youth, perhaps a somewhat more roguish and freelance, but nowadays I see him more as that sort of off a country, like you say, but he swears fealty for the banner. Yeah. So
Yeah,
And then
I would
the
think
other-
Calvin just. I would think Calvin just because of his, him traveling around with his father, who was a cobbler, shoemaker, around the freelands, just and getting to know all the different taverns and little cities and little villages. Probably has a close tie to the land, just because he's he doesn't really necessarily have just loyalty to one city, but more just the freelands is his home. All those taverns. I mean, his dad basically was sort of a traveling shoe salesman when you get right down to it. And, and so they would just go from place to place. And from a very young age, first Calvin was just sort of playing at his dad's stall at the market, but then some of the taverns were like, hey, come play for us. And then eventually I was basically earning room and board while he was doing, for them in the town, while he was doing his cobbling work for 2, 3, 4 days. And then we would move along, and I kept crossing paths with Curtis when every once in a while I might go off. Hey, yeah, Dad's here for the next 5 days. Hey, you want to run with me down to, I hear there's something weird happening. Let's go see what's going on with that down by the river, because someone said they saw, someone with horns down there or whatever.
We've spoken to Tia, and Tia's playing a 14-year-old, so pretty young. But the
14 and a half. 14 and a half.
That's important.
I can't.
So yeah.
So you guys, how old are you? Like, how old are the rest of you guys? Because I mean, being humans gives you much more limited range of sort of. But it's interesting to see, how separated you guys are in sort of experience.
I put down Calvin as 26, so that he'd have been 16 when the war started. So I mean, he was, definitely adolescent. I mean, I can adjust if you need us to, but I was kind of just sort of thinking around that age, so that he was, in his sort of formative years. Not so much his childhood was still pre-war, but certainly by year 5 of the war, really understood what was going on, friends going off and dying, stuff like that. What were you thinking for Curtis? Because I know with us being friends, is that weird? Did I make him too old?
No, I think I put him as 2 years older.
Okay.
I think he's about 28, 27, 28.
So perfect.
Yeah, I think he probably married quite young. So he was probably married since he's been 16, 17, which I imagine is the norm in this world, as being married.
Seems likely.
Yeah.
Seems pretty typical.
What about you?
How cheerful. Lucy is also 28. And she's kind of had her family has some background with the war. She lost her father to the war. Lost her mother well before that, when she was very, very young, and her father had remarried. So she has a stepbrother out there somewhere that was also a mage along with her. But they haven't been talking for a very long time. And that's all I will say about that for now.
Well, we've got there's some interesting sort of dynamic there. And the other, I mean, for people who don't have much, certainly for those in poverty, you guys are pretty ancient, because at the moment the average life expectancy has plummeted throughout. So it's gonna be interesting. There's still a lot of people out there who can't feed themselves and waiting on food. And
You're old enough to be my dad. You're old enough to be dad. You're old enough to be my mum.
So Lucy,
Oh goodness.
how old is Lucy? Sorry,
28.
We'll sit down. We'll go for a second.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
working on it. It'll be ready for next week, okay?
It's in
English
beta
is
right now.
hard.
The accent's in beta mode.
All right.
Oh,
Like a
right.
regular.
Shut up.
I was going to ask a question to you, Josh. Is it okay if I make up the nameless lord, by the way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. My other question was, if we're all being, like, for instance, I'm being sent to attend a coronation, is there anyone that Curtis would know about, be interested in speaking to, or know to avoid? Like any particular groups of people that he'd be aware of?
There are a couple that you'll be aware. I won't give all of them away. One informant now that I would say is a guy called Artie. His full name Artemis Remo. He is a. You've never met him. You would never sort of.
I see what you did there.
What? Wait, me?
Artie?
I didn't.
Artie?
Marty.
Artie.
No,
Artie.
Artie.
What have I?
No,
Oh, yes, from fucking.
Artie was
Everett.
Artie was the name of your character from
With the Baker's Dozen.
with a baker's dozen.
In
How do you remember
Louise's
that?
campaign. You're right. I knew Artie rang a bell for some reason. In Louise's campaign, which
In
aired,
Louise's campaign.
aired like 2016. Jeez.
Oh,
Or early
I
2020,
take
maybe.
notes. Remember? I'm a note taker.
did I actually call him Artie?
Yeah, he was called Artie.
Absolutely,
For
you
sure.
called him Artie.
I've got to
You're
look
just
at it.
unoriginal.
Oh, because it's. Oh no, because yeah,
It was about like
his full name-
traitors, and I had to call overlay with people getting harmed.
Yes, because he did
Yeah.
he wasn't who he thought he was. Because Josh.
Because Josh, I've got to the point now where like I joined, like I can't remember who it was. He was like, "Do you want to do a one shot?" And he was like, "So I was thinking like we'd do this, and then later on like you turn turn things on their head, and like you'd be sort of like the start off as trustworthy." And then I was like, no one will trust me. Like anyone who's played with me before will not trust me. They're smart enough to know I have a track record. I have read in my ledger. But yeah, Artie is a local. He's an information broker. So there's a place called the Silver Serpent, which is a tavern in Rivercroft, and he is the man with his finger in a lot of pies. He is supposed to be able to help out with most people coming in and looking for stuff that isn't necessarily legal. If you want extra rations, if you want, information on one of the other diplomats, that sort of thing, he's the man in the know. That's the only, you've been given a name and a tavern to find him in. But other than that, there are a couple people, I'm not going to say them now on stream because that's for the party to find out. I'll message you some stuff, Will. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Okay. No,
Speaking of, so speaking of, since you were saying that this was a tavern, are there well-known taverns, bards, people whose entertainment reputation or venues like going and playing at this venue is, because I mean, other than playing at the Palace, of course, would be a big thing, or playing at the Coronation. But as far as, I mean, certainly just Calvin would have gone just because assuming all those things would be the case, but any sort of rumors or whatever, this legendary bard is probably going to be there, or is pretty much communication broken down to a point at this point where it's just, this is when everyone's just going to show up and figure out who's who.
Yeah, there's going to be, I mean, the nice thing is with every kingdom interested, everyone's going to send diplomats. Diplomats generally have coin, and coin, it's not necessarily, it's still worth a lot, but you're more likely to get sort of, you're likely to find that there'll be more richer clientele than you'd usually be used to in Rivercroft. The interesting part of this is there was never much structure, so you have heard that there will be a stage constructed. This is mostly because for big talent and stuff, there isn't really a tavern big enough, because it's a small backwater sort of kingdom that's never had much structure to it. So, like, the rumor is that since it was announced that the coronation is happening, the town around the capital has almost doubled in size with temporary structures, because to accommodate the size of the crowd that's coming, there's just not enough infrastructure. There's not enough buildings. There's not enough place to house them. Taverns are, booked wall to wall. But the other side of that is there's going to be something that Rivercroft itself is unused to. It's going to be you're going to see a lot of magic happening, which is going to be odd to the locals. And that comes with cool little things like buildings that weren't there yesterday and are there today. So really, you're going to have to think on your feet to find the venue of your dreams, but it's probably going to be there. Everyone's pulling out all the stops, and it's all about entertainment and distracting the general populace from how terrible things really are at the moment.
A great
Everybody
truly,
needs a
like-
party right now.
Yeah. So truly like a real medieval.
Performing and just like all out there.
Yeah, if you get recognized, if you get signed at this, I mean, you could end up in a million and one
Well, I mean, you
country.
get taken on by a noble as
Right.
their
They
kingdom,
patronize you.
Yeah, to get a patron, or to get someone for you to be my court bard, or like I said, even to get with a good group, because traveling, has been hard. I mean, that's why I'm traveling with Curtis. I mean, you don't want to be on the roads alone in famine, and where anyone who, if you're on the road, they assume you've got some kind of rations with you, and they'll kill you for that, I assume.
Yeah, exactly. That's the sort of thing. Like muggings in the street are more about, do you have food as opposed to do you have coin, because it's getting bad out there. Hopefully everyone's sort of hoping that food will start flowing soon. But I mean, up until the point it does, there's very little farmable land left in this kingdom, and most other kingdoms have dealt with the big problem has been that sort of farmsteads. If there was a fight around a farmstead, that means a lot of troops, which means a lot of boots, which are churned up the ground. There are dead bodies on it. There's plague. There is, infestations. There is damage to the soil. It's full of blood. There are relics of war left over. It just means that farming is really, really hard almost everywhere. The big difference with Rivercroft was when Breckendale fell, Rivercroft went, well, they provide all of our soldiers. We have no soldiers. We're leaving. And they just moved out. Everyone just evacuated as quickly as they could. So next to no fighting actually ever happened in Rivercroft. So most of the land is still usable.
Speaking of, just because I'm sure there is consider a what would be considered a debt to pay, where did they all go? Who then protected those people? So I mean, did Earnhardt basically protect them so they can, basically took them in, or Elysium who have some kind of a claim to, hey.
Ironheart took one hell of a pounding during the war, but the one kingdom that never fell was Elysium, which was essentially wall-to-wall packed with huge elven cities, which for the first time and for very few actually allowed we just loaded up the map, and it's still got in Elysium those plentiful fuckers
probably. Here's where we fucking are. Yeah, I thought this would be a good visual for you.
Yeah, so there's the interesting thing about that is is when it came down to Elysium's a big kingdom, and Elysium has ports and it's on the coast, so actually it has fishing and a very strange it's all Sun Elves, like the ruling elite, all Sun Elves. It's a Sun Elf kingdom, but they have had to deal with they've gone from being very much looking down on other people and having, it's all about their culture and not worrying about the lesser races, and then finding that all of those neighbors that they look down their nose at now live in their backyard because there's nowhere else to go. Everything the big push went from Elysium reclaiming Ironheart through to Rivercroft, Breckendale, finally York Waste, over the Black Mountains, etc. But in that time, Elysium's been the place where everyone was harbored, but they've kicked quite a few people out. And the interesting thing is they never allowed Drow, ever.
That's
Drow genuinely, if you enter the borders of Elysium and you are Drow, you will be killed on sight. Ironheart next door, doesn't have that luxury because the Underdark is right beneath their feet and they have a huge crime problem. But Elysium, they'll lynch you. There's no, and they have the strength to do it. So yeah.
Yikes.
Okay. Also, thank you to Jed, donates £10. Thanks for making my birthday morning a good one. How about a magic item for the first person the party has to fight? God damn it, Jed. But happy birthday, my friend, and thank you for
Yes.
No.
Yes.
There's Grimoire Drower.
Dang it.
Stuff.
and so it
Professor
begins.
Drower, awesome. They're just want to be friends with everybody, okay?
Okay.
The drow.
I will rewrite the drow in this kingdom to be really friendly. Oh, look at the fear. So, yeah, it's restructure the world around you.
Oh, goodness.
Boss is right here and she will beat you.
Our drow are different.
So Josh, we Calvin and I know one another. Would Lucy, Sarah know? Would we, the other characters, would we know each other at all? And or a question
Sarah,
for the players:
no.
would you like to know?
I know that for a fact. Sarah won't know you guys. Sarah is actually traveling with two other individuals who are coming. So she's got she's got a chaperone, I guess. Someone who's looking after her.
Babysitter.
She's not intending on staying with them for very long, and they aren't intending on keeping her for very long. So I feel it's like they wanted to take her from, dying on the side of the road to, hey, take this child.
She went from dying on the side of the road to basically a 5-star accommodation with like all the luxuries, bells and whistles.
She has no idea what's going on.
Two very alcoholic clerics who cuss their own gods.
Did they let her drink?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Like, you want to fight? You can drink. That's if you fall on your ass, you fall on your ass. You have no sympathy. You'll get no lesser restorations from them, but you can drink. But yeah, they've taken her and they took her into Ironheart, which was like ridiculously sort of like they know all the nice places. She's gone from sort of had this huge culture shock, but has expressed the fact that she wants to fight. They've toughened her up a bit. She's scrappy. They know that there's going to be a lot of mercenary companies there, so she's coming to strike out with a new group. She's being dubbed. This is happening. So, yeah.
I mean, they kept her alive.
She's
thankful.
Sure. Okay, so what about Lucy?
What about Lucy?
Is there any chance that maybe our characters know one another somehow? I don't know.
It's certainly possible. My apologies. It's absolutely possible. She's kind of, I'm thinking she's been traveling for a while, ever since she's sort of done her dues at the Mages Academy. She absolutely has just been kind of on her own, and doing her historian thing, because that's her passion more so than trying to deal with warfare. She was just trained at the Mages Academy because someone saw talent.
Yeah, and with regards to that, it's sort of, there's no, in Brekendale, it's not about, you can do magic, you could be a bard. No, you can do magic, you will help the military, because we don't have much magic. They're a little oppressive like that. But so something that might have interested her, would she enjoy having conversations with people who had coexisted with being touched? Not necessarily always to the best of success, but finding out about strange towns where Fiend Touched and the human occupants were living side by side during the war. I imagine that sort of thing would probably be unique cases would interest her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Anything that you're not going to find in. I'm guessing here, but I'm assuming a lot of Brekendale's like typical publishing stuff is going to be heavily propaganda led in a way.
Yep.
Very pro Brekendale. She wants to write more of a real story. Not so sure it's going to be very popular, but she wants to find that kind of thing, stuff that people aren't normally talking about or reading about, and actually put that into paper.
So maybe then she may have known Calvin.
So you might have full-time travel to. We'll get down.
I guess that's a question. Do you think you'd have gone as far down as the Freelands?
Certainly possible. If they would have let her in.
Yeah, that's the interest. Like there's not really a border as such. It's where the other territories end. They have what hasn't been claimed, and that's sort of how it was dished out.
It just kind of happened that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly likely because she's just wandering around similarly to how Calvin was, just kind of roaming and collecting tales. So they absolutely could have happened upon one another.
A little bit more respectability as a wizard, having served in the military. She might stand out a little bit more from the crowd than we do.
Yeah.
Especially if your robes are all still like custom ordered from the military.
Probably. They probably are. They may have seen a little wear and tear. But they're still nice.
I could definitely see, maybe not necessarily as becoming friends, but one of those things along the lines of, if you're out collecting stories, the people who you would talk to would be the bards. So maybe you interviewed me one night for your book, which certainly Calvin would be more than happy to babble incoherent strings of words together for you.
She would have been fascinated to just listen to him talk and write it all down, word for word.
Calvin, you were always probably promised like a copy of like her notes that she took away and like her article when it came out on you, and it never came out because she could never understand a word you were saying.
She spent hours afterwards just like, all right, what exactly does this mean? I don't know what he was talking about.
Grasshoppers being together have to do with anything. It's talking about the geopolitical situation of the...
Yes, it's like he was talking in code.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a weird kind of thieves' candy.
Oh my god, and then Curtis is just there like, yep, nope, got you, 100%.
Could you tell me what he's saying? I don't fully understand it.
Yeah, if like that were to have been a thing, then how's like this angle that like Curtis was, gaining information on Breckendale via Lucy, perhaps, and it was quite useful to him that Calvin was striking up this conversation with this, a war wizard from Breckendale, and maybe Curtis was, actually interested in talking to her for information.
Seems likely.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like the interviewer being interviewed without realizing it.
Right, yeah.
Like, how much
talk to my friends, tell him everything. And I'll listen.
Okay, so her charisma is 7, you guys.
Oh boy.
7? When I say socially awkward, I mean socially awkward and sometimes not fully aware.
7.
Curtis is definitely a sweet talker. Let's
that'll work in 2 seconds. 2 seconds. All you gotta do is smile and tell her she's nice.
I rolled really well on this character. This is like the best stat. I'm not a min-maxer at all. I've avidly said that many times on my show and here on Encounter Roleplay, but like it was hard not to give into temptation with these stats, man.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see in that case that Curtis would have definitely taken advantage of the friendship or the conversation that Calvin and Lucy were having in order to leverage that to his own.
Yep. He probably got plenty of information.
Lucy the whole time's like, who's Darmak and Jalad and where's Tanagra? Sorry for my Star Trek friends out there.
I think, that's sort of, so you won't know a whole bunch about each other, but it'll be nice because you guys are, will certainly have been acquainted, and things are a lot less chaotic. Now, like the Undying Heroes have disbanded, it's like stuff like that really helps lower the chaos in the entire world.
We helped people.
You would actually, I'm going to say, Calvin, you probably would have heard that there is a new tavern in the Orkways, which is straight up called Tuscan's Tavern, and it is the place out there. I will tell you now, especially with a
couple of tiefling kids running around.
It's just all going on over there. Staff are terrible.
Shut up. Don't talk about my
Well,
sister
yeah, I mean,
like that.
that would be a story I could definitely see would travel sort of through the bards networks, and a song that you would know. I mean, I think would certainly be.
Oh yeah, for sure. That song.
I mean, I think that the Last Stand
Yeah.
of Gregor Tuscan is a song
Yeah,
that would have traveled
I'm gonna start
through there, and that the
crying.
fact that it's an actual that there's an actual place and that people actually go, no, yeah, there's we've got there's the tiefling there, and well, and especially because he would know the story for Alice, because that's Gavin's a part of that story. Gavin's at Tuscan's Tavern. He helped rebuild it with this drow, with these two drow sisters.
Yeah.
Don't forget the tiefling kids who are running around helping the
tiefling
town.
kids. Yep.
Cool.
And the two tieflings who are helping to rebuild the town.
One, yeah. A vampire and a half.
Well,
demon,
darling,
half-angel
let me
queen.
tell you about a dwarf named Gregor and his tiefling children he loved. Sorry, that's all I had.
Let's go. Right.
No, keep going.
It's just like, no.
Too soon.
They
Too
say
soon.
his
Too
wife
soon.
was a vampire,
I was
but
actually
not.
corrected just then. I was corrected. Cheetah points out that it is actually the Tuscan Tavern.
I thought
Don't
that it was
forget that there is
I
a
thought
fire
it
whiskey
was
on
the
tap,
Yeah.
and every time you pull the tap, it goes.
Yeah.
This is literally. It was the one thing that Louise petitioned for me. Before she was like, "I want it, and I want you to be when you pour Dwarven the fire whiskey named after Gregor, that it actually makes the sound as you pour it. There it is.
There's the song. I'm tearing up just reading it.
Oh.
No, I was just
Take it away. No.
Yeah,
No.
it's a great-
Aw.
No. You're the worst.
All right. Well, I'm okay. That's good to know. We've got a lot of party connections.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
acquaintances at very least.
Yeah, probably like
Mm.
mutual acquaintances. Sort of. Oh yeah, I remember.
Oh, it's been so long since I saw you last. How are you doing? That sort of
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
this
so
is gonna be an epic campaign. I've really been looking forward to this. I've been building my character for a long time.
Yeah.
Josh and I have been working on backgrounds. I'm really like putting more of myself about learning the history of Eider too. So like it'll be a lot less needing to do intelligence checks or history checks, and I'll just be like, oh, I actually know this. Like,
Yeah, I think the session 0 has actually been very helpful just in terms of getting the world stuff down.
Yeah.
Again, 'cause it's been
I
ages since we
love
actually.
the production, dude. This is so
It looks so
insane.
good.
It looks so
Oh.
clean.
So good.
I know. It's gonna be so
It's
cool.
so
This is only
beautiful.
the beginning. It's only the beginning. I guess we could open the floor to some
Oh, yeah.
questions. This is what we usually do on these session 0 so far this week.
Oh, there it
Either
is.
about this campaign. Oh, the beautiful teary death of Gregor.
Oh. Stop! I
Well-
don't need to cry today.
Not again. Not again. But yeah, if you guys in chat have any questions either about our characters, about this season of The Long March, or indeed, I guess you could ask some questions about the last season of The Long March as well, or
Yeah.
just in general, feel free to fire them at us, and we'll get to them, my friends.
Yes.
That would be great. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I think this one's going to be a lot different from the last one, and the one before that as well.
What was the prince's name again? Prince Henry?
Henry.
Harry?
Yeah, Henry Renford,
Henry.
I believe.
Henry
Yeah.
Renfrew. Okay, there we go.
His father
I
was
don't have all my
Hexton.
notes.
Yeah.
But
you
yeah,
just-
yeah.
just go.
Henry is a Henry, yeah, is essentially I think he's 19. I'll have to check my notes, but I think he's about 19. Has never led. Might actually be. I think he might actually be. He might actually be younger, and he's never had anything. Sort of trouble like. He's never led before. He's never served. He's never had any experience, and everyone is very keen to see what kind of deals they can make him strike. I'm worried with the party getting involved. He's got some Joffrey potential in him. Like I feel like it might go that wrong. I'm
Oh
worried.
no.
I'm worried for this poor kid.
He's just a baby.
So
They were all
It's
saying
the
we're going to be
bubbly.
friends. It's going to be a big party, a nice festival atmosphere, and no, Josh.
Nope.
no.
That's one.
He's
How many people has Sarah killed to get to level 5?
It's really interesting because her experiences were more like life experiences as opposed to experience gaining to this point. I'm not going to say we because I'm not the DM and I can't really make that call, but I think here roleplay and that is just as important as physical battle. Like, yes, in the books it's always supposed to be you kill this goblin, you get 50 experience, but it isn't like that. For her to this point, obviously continuing on, because we don't do experience here as per kills. We do it in, what do you call it, milestones, there we go, which makes role-playing, I feel, a lot more important.
If you want to know how many characters the Pentacle 5 kills, the exact amount to get the right amount of XP to murder everyone. But this is the difference. I mean, she's been in quite a few scraps.
She's been fighting, and but she never. That's the thing, is she's traveling with a cleric right now. Two clerics. So anytime she gets, she's a child who's going out there going, "I can do this, yeah," and then she gets smacked down, and then these two priests are just like, "Fuck." Get her back up. So she hasn't really caught on to the concept of like death, besides her parents' death, obviously. But she still has that youthful immortality. So nobody's really died by her hand yet. The first person she kills will be in roleplay, and that will be a fun moment for me, I think.
There's also, you traveling with these two guys who basically toughened her up by kicking the ever-living crap out of her when she gets out of line. But they will heal her up and make sure she's okay. They've taught her some very hard life lessons in a very short amount of time because she's on her own, and you will die on your own out there. I mean, it's a bad place. That's why there's so many mercenary companies providing security for people, because you don't travel alone. It's just dangerous. Don't go alone. Here, take this. Some life experience.
No, she hasn't killed. Oh, no, wait, no, she's probably caught up yet. Yeah. No, she's just done training, hasn't fought anyone, hasn't had that. She hasn't had her innocence taken from her yet, but she's just been meandering along.
Yeah,
that'd be fun to play because
she has a
Zuna was like so creepily old and had lived so much life, and playing a character that hasn't done that much stuff is going to be fun.
Yeah, she doesn't have the I can do. Have you tried killing everyone? It's not an option for her, you know.
Also, I saw earlier on, there was a question earlier on. Is there a cap on level? No.
If you ever level cap, I am outie.
Level capping is like it works in certain situations, but I mean, I trust all you guys. Jess, I'm really, really hoping that you are going to be lovely. And if so, if you're really nice and
don't break her, let her be happy.
Because, like, yeah,
I have a feeling that you're a terrible person, so I'm really just hoping that you're nice.
I mean, I haven't told you the truth about this, but
oh god,
yeah.
Please continue.
Oh, right.
Raid!
Welcome to Zanglac Raiders. We're fucking kill those Raiders. Let's get them. Welcome in. We're doing a session 0. Ask some questions and feel free to hang out and chat with us here. Yeah, I know. I haven't ever played in a game where there's been like a hard level cap established before we started playing. Like, we will never go any higher than level.
We did it for the West Marches, but that was because every week we had different people coming in. So it makes sense in stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense actually.
But for everything, for me, it's just been interesting to sort of see. Yeah. Like it generally comes down to, if I feel like they achieve great things, I will give them I'll give them a level. But if they, achieve great things, otherwise, there's other ways of. I find it interesting. A lot of people I've played with over the years start off and they're like, how can I make my character more powerful? And it's like, well, level up. Well, no, there's a lot of other stuff you can do. There's political power.
Yeah, political power is the best.
Very important. There's you're excited and terrified to have your character's emotions destroyed by Josh. Someone earlier posted, Josh sees a marriage oh, look, there's a marriage there. Everyone else, don't touch it. And I'm like,
No.
yeah, what the fuck with that? Yeah. So
I'm
she's already
delighted
made
and
the first
excited,
mistake.
and I'm fine with it.
I didn't put children.
You already
in
made
Rory.
the first mistake. You mentioned family. Never.
Like that's why I started all my family's dead. You can't take anybody from me. They're all dead.
I mean, go
Yeah,
for it. That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah. I mean, Jed's right. With milestones, the players are always at the level you want anyway. So, like, you
Yes.
could argue
Milestone
that
is great.
every game is level capped in a way until the DM decides that the cap is removed. So,
Yeah. And I personally, as when I DM, I've always been a fan of milestone, just because it's like a lot less work.
Yeah, so much less math. Oh my
I
god.
had never heard of it until I came to Twitch, actually. I had always classically, and I despised that. And having that as an experience here is just, it's awesome. It opens up the game so much more.
It feels more natural as well, I feel.
Yeah.
Well, I've
exactly.
actually played with DMs and who have explicitly said you get XP for what you kill. Not even like the party gains XP together. Like you get XP for what you kill. And like when you're playing like a cleric or something like that, and like the fighter's like level 12, and you're like level 6, and you're like,
that's kind of stupid.
I need to like I didn't last.
That's like vanilla WoW level stuff right there.
Yeah.
Well, another thing I want to add on, just for interactive role play, like here on Encounter Roleplay, having experience like being awarded could potentially suck, because you could just have some mega uber baller come to the stream and every stream just be like Tarask, and then you're like level 50 by the end of 4 weeks from now. So I like it works better with the interactive role play.
The other thing that I encourage is not every situation needs to be this like done with violence. It's not killing simulator. It's adventure and roleplay. So the fact that, especially like Will was talking to me about Curtis, and he was saying, he's much more sort of smooth talking, charisma kind of charming, devious kind of character, as opposed to sort of like, I'm gonna kill everyone, I'm a stabby stab. And I feel like that merits maybe not experience, but that merits, building towards a level. If the party managed to go through this entire campaign with like, fighting 2 battles and everything else is dealt with carefully, I reward that. I think that's a really great way to. Yeah, you're right. It does feel grindy from a player's side, which sucks. And I've done it, and I've actually Howard, the person she's traveling with, is the first character I've ever ground up from the bottom all the way to the top, which was exhausting. Oh god, it just didn't stop. But yeah, I want to be rewarded for role playing as opposed to me no diplomacy.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is one of the first times that I've not been sort of a swing the sword, grab the shield, or even type character. I mean, even though I've played some that are a little bit different, I guess. I mean, even Imperador, even though I was hiding his true power, there still was that sort of in his back pocket. So it's kind of new for me. And even though he's going to sort of sound like a yokel, Calvin's very world wary, and it was interesting building a character that is skills based and not combat based. But there's a lot of interesting things out there. I mean, one of the feats that I've looked at it probably 100 times and rolled right past it every time, is the actor feat. But I think in this campaign, actor could be incredibly useful because of being able to imitate other people's voices. And in combination with a little bit of spell casting, like minor illusion, you can throw someone's voice convincingly 30 feet away from you. And that could become very interesting in a political campaign, or in, a lot of thinking really fast type situations of, and I think that's, Calvin's probably talked his way out of a whole lot of getting himself killed. Again, just being in a tavern, being an entertainer, going through war zones. There's always the bad night at the tavern, that he's probably talked his way out of.
Exactly. I think it, being able to mimic and deceive and do cunning things like that can give you a huge amount of political power and influence over people, and certainly like forgeries as well. Forgeries, forging is brilliant. Like being able to, and I'm not talking like at the hammer Gavin style. I'm talking, can you fake someone's seal? Can you do stuff like that? And I just, it's so much terrible stuff can happen. Will knows all about that. Fake.
This is really interesting. It's basically like a disguised self for like a rogue or like a minor change self spells.
It's really nasty.
That's really interesting. I've never even considered that.
It's like it's non-magical.
Yep.
But it's,
I literally had passed it up a bazillion times. Just it was like, why would I want to have the actor feat? Now I've also not played a bard before, but because when you combine that with minor illusion, which is that you can throw your voice, and so if you can throw your mimic of someone else's voice,
onto your minor illusion,
actor feat and minor illusion, you can convince someone that someone's coming, that someone's having a private conversation that they're overhearing, lots of things that you could do that would become very confusing in a politically charged climate. So we'll see if what good old Calvin's got up his sleeve, because they certainly aren't going to think it's Calvin when he's talking like some very important diplomat from somewhere else.
Whoa! I love D&D.
It's going to be so much fun.
This is going to be so much. It's going to be a dark campaign, but it's going to be fun.
Interesting.
Well, last season we had Gregor for comic relief. I think now we have Calvin for a bit of lighthearted.
Oh, yeah.
You do need that from all the darkness every now and again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
I found it really I found it really interesting with certain things. Like I've just seen absolute chaos come forth so many times in the Long March, but really I think I've laughed more DMing it than any other campaign, just because like the tension ratchets up and like things are really shitty and you gotta laugh because otherwise you go insane. Someone was that Will in chat. Josh, what are your thoughts on the bag of beans magical item, and why is it the best item, save for a deck of many things concerning chaos?
Bag of beans?
I'll have to find a bag of beans.
No, here we can just
I feel like random effects on the beans. I believe.
Yeah, it's like random.
It's a fun one.
Things.
I was looking at Bag of Tricks too. That's another fun.
Bag of Tricks is good. Yeah, that's the one where you pull out different animals.
Different animals.
Little like
this looks
furry things or whatever.
I actually, in a campaign on my mate's channel on Salt and Sassy, got dealt the deck of many things the other day, and just went, I'm playing a level 3, level 5, level 3.
For what? For what campaign?
I think I'm level 3 or level 5, and it's an all kobold party. And I just went, that's 3 cards from the deck of many things. I got 50,000 experience, 25 grand, and 3 uses of the wish spell. And he was just like, everyone else got screwed. And I'm like, no regrets.
Bag of beans looks pretty cool.
Bag of beans looks amazing. You gotta be thinking. There's some really interesting things that you can do with sort of random stuff like that. And the wish spell.
That's a question, because we got starting equipment and we had like a magic item to start with, right?
Yeah. I'm not telling you what mine is.
Okay, what did everyone else? Because we'll let Tia be a special snowflake. What did everyone else choose for their magic item? You can tell me.
Something intensely practical.
Because I don't think I've decided. I don't remember what I did now.
I think I grabbed the flask of the decanter of endless water, because water seems important.
That sounds like a very good idea.
When you're traveling constantly. She's really not exciting. She picks practical things.
See, Calvin actually was pretty practical as well. He went for the glamored studded leather armor so that he can look like he's not wearing armor and be armored. because
Yeah,
it makes
which
it
is
look
always
like any regular clothes, and also basically
That's
for he can have he can basically, the armor turns into whatever he needs it to for performance or for travel or for whatever, so he can blend in.
That's
so I
so
went for
extra.
glamour.
You are so extra, dude.
Oh, no, that's I
It's
would
fabulous.
love-
That is so extra.
Hey, Calvin, you know.
armored.
Oh, I was just gonna start throwing out Calvinisms.
Calvin.
Yeah, that's what I was wanting you to go. Go nuts. So like I said, it's a
Okay.
song.
I haven't
It's-
picked that
yeah.
many times to do that.
The one thing you
Well,
never
I
did, I had asked you, Josh, you said that we could pick a trinket. Did you mean like a wondrous item trinket, like of common quality, or did you mean like literally a trinket off the trinket page?
You can pitch whatever you want to me. It could be a trophy from the war. It could be some kind of little knick-knack that you picked up. The best way to describe to you, Score, you remember Numenera, you get like the really powerful ciphers, and then you get, I can't remember what they are. Yeah, trinkets, I think they are, and they're like, they do dumb stuff like
oddities, the oddities.
That's it. Anything from pretty much anything from Xanthar's magic item table, all the crazy like the Cape of Billowing or something like that.
Yeah,
Those are fun.
See, I need to figure out what it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be the question. Is the decanter okay? Or was that?
Yeah, no,
I think it was off the right table, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's fun. I will tell you right now, if you knock it over in your sleep and you wake up and you drown, it's not my fault.
It's fine. That probably will happen, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Nice. I think the
I've
Lazy
seen it
Dino
with
as well. I think it was. My idea then would be a sending stone, and then I can chat to my wife.
Aww.
Okay. I like that. We can have calls back home. Oh, we do like
Call back.
letters from letters from Curtis.
Letters from Curtis.
You can't talk properly.
Oh, don't even
Don't-
start.
what?
Don't
You
even
can't.
fucking start with me. I swear to God.
Sounded a lot like
Yeah.
lettuce.
Lettuce.
it's like, I want to take the spice pouch, but I got to save that for Gavin.
You've got to say that literally, Gavin.
I literally, it's like Gavin. That's just like Gavin's item. It should be just like Gavin's spice pouch.
It's so it regains 1d4 plus 1 charges at sunrise, and what it does is essentially you can take a pinch of powder from it, and when you take it, you just think of a common everyday spice or herb or something like that, and it turns into a pinch of that for cooking on the go. And when I saw it, I was like, that is Gavin's ultimate thing, like the best. Oh, I'm hungry.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna go get lunch.
I'm so hungry.
Talking about Gavin makes me hungry as well.
Yeah, I
Thank
do.
you,
I'm the same way.
Elliptical, for the Twitch sub as well. Someone's asking in stream, how often do we stream? The schedule is there. T's put it for you guys there in chat. The next season begins next week, so we've got sort of a session 0 week. This week, I'm not doing any other streams other than Save or Dice tomorrow, and I'm taking a couple of days off and chilling out and setting up all the production stuff for our next cruise. And then next week we begin our session 1s, our premieres of season 2. So we've got a lot to look forward to.
3.
Just used to saying 2.
What are we talking about?
You said season
Season
2.
two.
We're on season
Did I
3,
say-
homie.
Oh no, yeah,
Yeah.
we're on season 3 of the Long March. We're on season 2 of Encounter Roleplay.
All
We've
right.
just been running this show
Okay.
for way too long.
Right. Yeah, 2018 season 2.
This isn't season 3 of the Long March. This is the Long March Kingmaker for a reason, because then that gets really fucking confusing. But yeah. What else you guys got? How much would it cost to give Lorelani a suit of dwarven plate armor? Because it'd be funny to see this 90-pound girl in armor that weighs more than her.
Oh.
Gregor Tuscanu died with his dwarven plate armor on. So if you were to exhume his body, because he was buried with it, you would be
jeez.
able to find... Oh, of course he is. He's a dwarf. He dies with his armor.
I'm really glad that question came up because I did character creation on stream, and that was something that we talked about with Sarah. Is this is a time of war? Everything is being sent, over to Breckendale or to the soldiers. So yes, it is possible through the player's handbook and having gold, and yes, I could buy plate mail or this, but realistically, where the fuck are you gonna find plate mail for a 14-year-old girl in the middle of like a famished, like war-driven place? We actually ended up going with padded leather armor for her, not because of the cost difference, just because it felt more realistic as to what she would be able to attain in the short time of her family dying and going over to the coronation. I really like that question a lot.
You will be useless in plate. You have the strength of 8. You're a 14-year-old girl. You'd have to have it custom made. Yeah. There's good luck finding plate for an adult male right now. It's
finding plate for anybody, let alone this girl who like had no money, nothing.
It's definitely all going to the hands of the soldiers.
Oh yeah. I mean, she'd be familiar with it from her father and like probably helped him put on his stuff every now and then, but she wouldn't have any of her own.
It would have been chain. Plate is ridiculous. It's like 1,500 gold pieces.
Yeah, and he was definitely in the lower ranks. He was a low tier, like frontline soldier, and he's good now.
Something that I love about I've been making a character for the Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game 2nd edition for Jim Davis's game on Encounter Roleplay this season. And when it comes to buying weapons and equipment, it has like rarities on it. Thanks for the cheer there, Ronan Z.
You want to go ahead and roll those now so we have them for next time?
Oh goodness!
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that.
Fuck you, I'm rolling now.
Warhammer. Oh yeah, so with Warhammer, it's got rarities. So depending on how rare the item is, the more expensive it is, and then it has different states of economical status. So if you're in like wartime, you times the cost of each item via these various tables, which I really like as a system.
It's interesting to have like an actual sort of bartering kind of system, which is going to be, it's going to be, because as I said, like this was the other thing that came up was
what does that even mean?
1D
100% of a major continent sinks beneath the sea.
Oh my god!
Oh my! What did you do, Ronan?
What just happened?
You just flooded the continent. Roll me that D100.
Oh, please, low.
Oh, I can't get 100%.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
27%.
20%.
So. There's
That's
also
like
another problem.
20.
It's just there isn't. And I will deal with it. And there goes the campaign. There you go.
That's a list of issues.
Yes.
Well,
that's right. So
actually, this
now we have Atlanta.
Actually works together with mine in a weird way, because it's not just food. If we just had that happen, it's going to be the water too, because mine is a huge vein of highly toxic metal runs directly under this area that just got flooded. So you basically now have all the water is poisoned.
We have poison.
We poisoned 20% of the water.
You just poisoned. Thanks. You just poisoned all the water.
And we
haven't
fucking
even
poisoned
started.
all of it.
It's not even the game.
We may be starting on a different
Little
foot.
Cup of Joe, how happy are you feeling with your decanter of endless water right about
I bet you feel so good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Practical choices, my friends. Practical choices.
I was like, I'm going to get the mug of sobriety.
All right. I think
absolutely works. Actually, I was going to get the mug of sobriety because I thought that'd be a cool thing for a bard to have with talking. So if you don't mind me having the tankard of sobriety.
I really want to change my item now, but I'm sticking with it.
All right. My wild
Suddenly
magic
everyone's
surge.
going to be out to kill me now.
This is bad. My wild magic surge. I forget how to use knives and blades of all kind. I don't know how to use.
Oh my god, you're a rogue!
And you're a rogue.
No more wild magic surges. I love it.
I'm wildly unprepared, and I don't have that table in front of me.
Give me the
should I
number,
let
I'll look it up
somebody
for you.
else?
Oh no, it's fine. Just, what number did you have?
Hold on. I'm also not in fantasy.
Oh, it's all good. I'm
Or just
using.
roll some dice.
Okay, just roll some real ones.
Yeah,
Can I
fuck it,
just
we
throw
trust you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 10,000. So however you
Yeah.
roll
Oh, yeah, no,
10,000,
it's right, not
you roll
100.
it.
You can do
How
like
many?
the-
I tell you, do you want me to make
okay.
a roll for you?
Yeah, go
why don't
for
you
it.
make-
I
Yeah.
trust
make a
you.
roll?
This is probably a mistake, but I trust you.
You want Josh to roll or me?
Either one of you, whoever does it first.
You do it like that? Weird.
Just tell me how terribly, how badly this goes.
But you don't have to do this very often.
I got it.
1132.
I got it.
Lucky
Waiting-
number.
waiting for my fate
Casper
to be
is
decided.
encased up to his neck in a shell of concrete.
Okay.
Shit.
Okay.
How's your kid? We're gonna help you now.
Jess.
We're
Jess.
all just dead.
Yes, you've had a run-in in the past. You've had a run-in in the past with particular individuals who you owe money to. For I'm going to say it's probably like a toll charge going
Nice.
through like some land,
Oops.
and straight up ended up encased up to your head, and managed to escape. I'll let you write it up, but they're still looking for you.
Oh no.
Oh
right.
no! Oh no!
That's
The
not good.
mob
Yeah,
is
that's
after you.
yeah,
This
the
is
mob.
great.
We're going mob style.
Yes.
Don't mind those guys. They're just some old friends.
Like,
Yeah.
rent to- kind of just rent in general to keep living.
Yeah, next episode we roll up a new party. That's it.
Yeah, it's literally
Oh gosh.
episode 0, we kill the party.
Did-
Episode 1,
I mean-
new party.
You know that charisma is 7. It's not like she can talk her way out of trouble.
That's true. I can't believe I just about drowned Eider.
I could just see Calvin and Curtis walking along the road and seeing this poor mage encased up to her neck in concrete and be like,
Excuse me.
Is that how you guys met?
Don't we know
Do you
her?
mind?
Don't
Yes.
we know her?
Yes.
That's such a Wizard of Oz like kind of thing. You're like walking along. There's just a wizard.
Just a head. She's like, hello.
Just a person.
Sorry. Hello. Do you mind? Could you help me, please? That would be nice if you don't mind.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Yeah,
And then
that
she
definitely.
came back, needed a drink, sat down at the tavern, started talking to Calvin, Curtis. Yeah.
Yes. And you guys probably got that story, so I'm gonna have to write that out.
Yep.
Oh god.
That's awesome.
What a
The truth
what a
is
perfect
stranger.
party intro.
Yes.
I can just imagine like Calvin just like
Get my nose scratched,
Curtis with a head on the floor, and Curtis is like, there's probably like more to her than just a head.
Oh. Goodness. What are our characters' favorite
His
foods?
favorite
Favorite
foods.
food.
Anything. Any kind of food is a favorite, considering
Yeah.
how little there is.
Yeah.
Maybe like porridge or something that's like really hearty and like sticks to you. Like so gruel. Give me that gruel.
I
So
love-
good.
The best
Oh,
thing
just
is
thinking about it as Sarah makes me hungry. I'm like,
you're literally you're there
Mm.
like traveling and used to eating gruel, and you're traveling with two people who like snorkersboard, cheese, wine, pork, everything, just like
and she's just like I'll
A
take meat on
charcuterie?
stick. Anything not yeah, the livestock.
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
don't drink the water. That's the
It's like, you realize, plants need water, and it's underneath. This is
Oh
the
God.
agricultural hub of the world.
my god.
yeah, Fane,
This is
poison
gonna
metal,
go.
all completely underneath of it.
That's
It's
good.
good. It's
Hey,
fun.
there's a new crisis
Nicely done.
crisis in the
That's going to be fun to deal with.
Indeed.
Like the
Oh,
water.
God.
It's
Like
obviously
fucking Fallout
ramen.
3, we're gonna purify the water again with fucking Liam Neeson. Oh my god.
Quest 1. Fix the shit you broke before you even started playing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Seems
amazing.
about right.
Yeah, I'm stressed now. I was looking forward to this.
So about that party around the coronation.
Yeah, indeed.
yeah.
Is
suddenly
there
that
any,
plot I just got.
is there any volcanoes in this region of the world? There's one in the top right-hand corner of the map where the two mountain ranges meet. It's at the top of the Black Mountains, and near where the Black Mountains, you got the dwarves sort of up the eastern side of the map, who have the mountain range from the coast all the way to the volcano. It is Moradin's mountain, and it currently has a dwarven city buried underneath it. It blew up to signal the beginning of the war. Was a signal flare. The dwarves supposedly detonated it to alert the rest of the world that they were being overrun, as they couldn't send out people. They just burrowed deep and blew up the volcano. Unfortunately, the capital of the Black Mountains is actually under there, including their king, who is currently buried under molten rock. And they're trying to excavate them. This has been going on for ages, but yes, there is a volcano.
How long ago did this water poisoning happen? Is it just now, or is it inserted into the past? Because plants can adjust.
Oh, is it? Yeah, part of the.
Oh no,
This
this happened to be a recent
right
thing.
now,
This is going to be a
right?
recent thing.
It's
Oh no.
It can't erupt anymore. I mean, it is Moradin's mountain. Supposedly, the life.
We saw it blow up last fucking season, a meteor. Remember?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the meteor crashed in last season too. Like that's something.
Oh,
Dude,
Well, that was
meteors
6
are
months
made out
ago,
of
though.
metal, so it could have poisoned the water.
Oh.
Or not to mention,
Oh,
the meteor could have poisoned the
this in the
water.
worst possible way.
Or
Till
even
it's
more, the meteor.
It
The
is
meteor
so
went
creepy
down
how the
into
wild magic surges work with this
Yeah.
campaign. Like it's freaky.
Well, and also you've got Zugdemoni. So you've got the meteor that basically all of that poison crap she was putting out could have sort of
That
broke
rotten
the
bitch.
seal
That
on
was
the
the
Eastern
best line
Underdog.
ever.
You rotten bitch!
You
That was good.
It was the best.
That was so good.
Oh my god. Oh, finale.
Mhm.
What a time! What a time!
Yeah,
to be
that's true.
alive.
A swamp filled with
Oh,
water.
goodness.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, dude. The meteor came down and drained all of Zamora into the groundwater underneath of Rivercroft.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
That would do it.
yeah.
Let's just
That's
think of
what I-
natural disasters in your world, Josh.
And it's called
What would
River.
be the worst thing that could possibly happen?
Great.
Well, they might have to change the name now to
You're
Poison
gonna
Croft.
fuck up Rivercroft as well.
Yeah,
Poison
Rivercroft,
Croft.
right?
Don't go in that Rivercroft.
Yeah, don't go in that Rivercroft. Very nice.
Stop.
Someone just scrawls that on the signs entering into the kingdom. Don't go in that.
Like on the welcome to sign, someone's like graffitied on it.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Well, now that science has destroyed the world.
Yep. Zamora 2.0 indeed. What could
Ugh.
god. Oh
No.
there's
Never
some
going
stuff
back.
there.
I'm never going back to that place. I
Never.
swear to God. If that campaign leads us in that direction, my character is going to have. I'm going to metagame the shit out of that. Curtis
Like
has
doesn't know how to use knives
But-
anymore, but will take own life. Just like
Yeah, I don't know how to use any knives. I want to change my name to Iago, but goddamn, I am never going to that
Well,
fucking.
now he doesn't know what knives are. Maybe he has like
oh,
picks up like a
That's
spoon or something.
There is-
things like that.
Yeah, I could use. Yeah, Louise had a garrote last season, didn't she?
Yeah.
So one thing I will tell you guys that's interesting, because you guys are from the Freelands, you will know. So there's no proper border to Zamora. There are outposts that spread from sort of all the way up to the forest and all the way down to the coast. They're sort of a couple of miles apart. They are generally wood huts and palisades and that sort of thing. And it's almost think of it sort of as the wall from Game of Thrones, but there is no actual wall there. They're just outposts that keep an eye on Zamora. People go missing from them all the time. Sometimes criminals are sent there. Sometimes, people just who have nowhere else to go will go and live there if they're looking for adventure. Researchers go there who are researching in like the mists of Zamora and stuff like that. But you don't have like an active. Nothing's ever happened. That is sort of in local memory, but people go missing all the time. None of the outposts have ever really been attacked, but that is what you know of Zamora is you have very limited amount of stuff between you and it. Just to reassure you there, Will.
Throwing axes.
That's good.
You could also do, right?
Ooh, yeah, axes. That looks good.
Throwing axes.
Whenever it was bladed weapons, right? It was blades, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
blades.
Oh.
I guess it has a blade. I mean, Jovina suggested in chat blow darts. I like that idea. That he's like, you know.
Yeah, blow darts is pretty. Yeah.
Blow darts.
Yeah, blow darts and garrots, man, is still pretty edgy.
I'm like fucking Hitman. You know, I've got a little fucking barcode.
Just like gloves, nice suit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, that was interesting.
The one of my favorite,
But
my first ever rogue had a reed pipe that he would play, but I had like a I can't remember what you call it. It's like it covers the holes. It's like a leaf that was wrapped around it to sort of change, almost like a trumpet. But if you twisted it a certain way, it just became. And I literally would sit there and play pipe, and then every now and again just be like, just go back to it, and people would just drop dead. And my stealth was so good, I'd just be like, "Not me. I don't know what you're talking about. Like I'm a homeless guy on the side of the street. What do you want from me?"
Will, I got the nasty one for you. Ice pick. That's not bladed. It's pierced. That you use an ice pick or something like that. That you're like piercing. You're right in the back of the skull type idea with an ice pick.
His character's getting dark.
Or lobotomies.
Get that small
you could do
puncture
that.
wound.
Oh my god! How do you think he got her out of the concrete?
Yeah,
Don't even worry about it.
Not going to ask why you have that.
I tell you, there she was, right there beside the road, just as helpless as an earthworm on an anteater. I don't even know how she got in there.
Oh, my friend, I got a story for you. But seriously, we really don't want to know why you have an ice pick.
Throwing maces.
Throwing salmon.
Blowing maces.
Flop. Pickaxe is also piercing that. Okay.
Yeah, I can see. Armor breaking is yeah, that's yeah.
Mm.
Oh
yeah, ice pick. Get -1 to armor class.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, it's the old fashioned, the old chainmail stilettos. I mean, that was basically they literally were they hardly had any edge at all. It was all about getting between the links.
Just that single point.
Yeah.
Those are some nasty
Frost enchanted trout.
I just noticed that the fire is moving in the background.
Yeah,
that's
I noticed that
freaking.
immediately. Like,
Oh
that's
my
the
god!
best thing.
There's just so much.
We'll actually, we'll
So
actually have.
cool.
I think the guy comes down the stairs too, doesn't he?
Not at the moment. No.
Oh, okay.
We got.
I heard
yeah,
a rumor the guy would come down the stairs.
I heard a rumor on the rumor mill. The video will actually be playing a lot smoother next week as well. We're taking notes.
Yeah, man. I've been checking out like all the forums that have like all the secret information, all the people who are totally like putting all the rumors out there. It's like worse. It's like worse than the Disney blog rumor sites, man.
I don't know what that is, so I'm happy.
Trying to find out like kind of role play. Like, tell me what's going on.
What's the latest?
That's it. Walking cane. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I'd want a sword cane, but no, it's blades. Yeah.
Oh.
I like
you know what, dude? Rapiers are full piercing, non-bladed.
Yeah, they are piercing.
And it's a great rogue weapon. Rapiers are great rogue weapon.
You could straight up have just a cylindrical blade.
Yeah, it's purely
like a
it would be
fencing,
a proper fencing riposte.
Ultimate Endcast plan. Find out the Demon Lord Ronin Zeal Poison has poisoned the world's waters and find a way to stop reverse it. Seems like a good idea to me. I'm ready. So Josh,
you're really just like, okay, so everything's dying. Gotta go find these guys. They're at a tavern. Like, oh god, we're back at a tavern. Like, oh no.
Hey, the first place you gave us was a tavern, my friend. So just don't you even get yourself all in a huff about that.
I swear to God, I'm not going to that tavern either. That's another location I will simply never go to.
And have a little bit of a drink.
We will never leave.
Absolutely no way we go in there. Child. That's gonna be so much fun.
Played a day
Hey,
for that
real
9
good.
months.
Oh, these 9 months in a row.
Hey, how you doing?
Drink over, baby.
There it is.
There.
Nice.
Push my phone. Yeah, I think I might go ice pick. Ice pick and blow darts. That sounds like it could be a good combination.
I kind of like ice pick and
That
blow
seems
darts.
fun.
That's like really nasty.
Yeah.
It makes sense because he's not
No,
about like
questions.
combat as so much as like getting in there quietly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like fans as well. I use fucking
Dude, your excuse is like, yeah,
So
I'm
fun,
the bar back. I'm just the bar back.
I require constant air conditioning. That's why I carry these fans on me.
I mean, depending on what the weather's like.
Yeah.
Throwing salmon. It's just so needed.
No one's
Boomerang
gonna know
salmon.
who killed this guy. Is it the ice pick and blow dart guy? Oh yeah.
The fact, so there's these really nasty fans. I don't know where they're from. I can't remember what. Saw them in a film once, and literally, so they look like normal fans, but when you collapse them, and then you sling them, and basically spines that run down.
Oh
They're
yeah.
like poison spines, like
Was that movie
porcupines.
Johnny English?
That would be so cool in vampires. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
For the Pale Lord. You think I'm not ready for this rodeo, boy? Come on. You know I got all my hats
Didn't
right
you
here.
wear a cowboy hat in one of our episodes? Yeah.
There we
Okay,
go.
there it is.
Something I did.
You
Oh,
were
that
wearing
was
it back
for
in
that was for Stick. Bippity boppity booyah! That was my wild magic.
Oh my
sorcery.
god.
Oh god.
Oh my
You're
Some
wearing
lord.
it
wild
back in the
magic.
samurai. Back in the samurai situation, I think you're wearing that a little bit more as well. It might have just been summer and you were really hot by then. But
Well, yeah, I had all different ones for that. Well, I mean, I had Gavin's original hat back then.
Yeah.
That's when I was wearing the one for the Gipper hat.
Yeah.
I'm not using a different mic, Tudor, but we're running different plugins and testing audio stuff today, so we're editing as we go.
Yeah. This is a test for many things today. So if you notice anything, you just shout out.
Indeed.
Boomerang fish from the Muppet Show.
How many hats
Deadly.
does this guy have?
Oh my goodness.
It got pretty hurt. Oh my goodness. There it is.
Jeez. Is anybody counting?
These are
This
the ones
pile
that
of
are
headless hats.
This is the end.
He is a
Barbarian,
cosplayer,
barbarian.
guys. Like, this should not surprise anybody.
Fair point.
What is
What is that? That is
Oh.
my favorite. That's my favorite. That we have a winner. Nothing can top that.
Which one?
Oh, you checked.
The one with
missed it. I was
the
looking the other
buttons
way.
on it, the pins and stuff. That is my favorite.
My Bavarian tourist hat.
Yeah.
Oh, and wait,
Oh my
there's the feather,
God.
Pale Lord. I have the feather.
Oh
yeah,
my god. That's Calvin's hat.
Way back when I was a kid.
I don't think I own as many clothes as Tall School owns hats. So,
Yeah, hack
there it is.
Oh,
Oh boy.
there we go.
Ah.
Got the blue
Yeah.
wig right here, ready to go.
hmm
I was gonna say, do you want me to like get up and walk across the room? Because we could do this all night. I can fill up the next 15 minutes with me.
The next section is just
Quick change.
I expect a new cosplay every week now.
So that's just across the room. I've got my Indiana Jones hat. This one's really crappy though; it doesn't fit.
That's not the same.
Yeah, don't make me go into the cosplay closet.
I've got Elfie ears and a couple. I got crowns for days.
I've got elf. Well, actually, I've got elf ears. Sid got elf ears the other day, and makes me wear them sometimes. So. Yeah.
Oh, an Australian Colcat? Absolutely. I got my Roll20. I've got my D20 hat. That's probably my favorite one.
The Long March
D20
Milliner.
hat? What?
I need to see
These
that.
session zeros have taught me so much about your castles. Yeah. Last night we realized that Greg doesn't know how to use Twitter and had missed out on 2 months of conversations that everyone else had been having, and he just hadn't been in them whatsoever. Today we've learned that Tool School is man of many hats.
Literally.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is the dopest hat.
He wears many masks. So something I asked everyone in the previous session zeros is what we're most excited for next season. So Josh, as a dungeon master, what are you most looking forward to in the Long March Kingmaker?
I'm looking forward to seeing where you guys put your trust, and also seeing where, because it's going to be interesting how you influence people, because you don't have you're not sort of super powerful characters. You're not you guys are, I mean, level 5 as opposed to like level 12, which you guys previously were in last season. So it's not going to be solvable through level 24 AC smites for days, flying everywhere. Things are going to become a lot more difficult. So it takes a lot more diplomacy and actually having to rely on other people as opposed to being very secluded. So I'm interested to see where you put your faith, your trust, and what kind of conversations go on behind closed doors. Because and sort of, are you guys trying to fix the world, or just fix things for yourselves, or? It'll be nice to see sort of where the party's moral.
Yeah, I feel like last season we had that sort of like, we're the only ones that can possibly save the world, and that was like our thing. It's like, you guys have got to do it because no one else is going to do it. That's kind of like the end of the world stuff. Whereas with this one, I don't think like Curtis is all that worried about the rest of the world so much as like his own corner of the world.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about, and that's the thing I love is, if you have that sending stone and you have a wife back home, actually being able to like check in and just like be reminded of why you're doing it is, because things are tough back home. Things are difficult, and there'll be almost like an ongoing window into her world of what's going on back where Curtis and Calvin are from, and how's it all going? Things are tough. People have, there's been rioting today. There's been, trouble. Have we seen any progress? And seeing what you guys can report back to them. So that would be nice.
Yeah, I think he probably uses Sending Stone to send information back to this lord that he has as well.
Absolutely.
It's like information relay. But I sent you some stuff about him and his wife too, so we can have fun times with that. I'm sure. There's a lot of guilt. What about you, Tollscore? What are you looking forward to?
I think I'm looking forward to seeing if I can be as quick as Calvin is. I've not had to play someone who's really quick. I usually am much more calculated. I kind of, while I can do a pretty good monologue, once I get rolling. But usually it's not necessarily the quick repartee. So I think for me, it's the challenge of the RP of someone like Calvin. And then just story-wise, how to utilize Calvin's skills to actually be a contributing member to the party. Because, like I said, I'm used to either being the healer or being a damage dealer. Even Miguel is the healer, even though he's not necessarily a damage dealer. This time I'm a bard, so I got a little bit of healing, but it's not anything in any major way. So I think, it's going to be all about a true support class, or on the side of thinking fast on my feet for whatever craziness that Josh has cooked up of whether I, truly having to RP, like I say, someone who, quite frankly, is quicker than me as a person is.
What about?
That'd be an interesting challenge, I think, because, like you said, a different, not only just the role play, but like actually filling in a different role as a in the party is going to be interesting. And I'm interested to see how the party mesh together as well, not only in the role play sense, but how the how combats work out and stuff like that. Because I think it's quite obvious last season that Gregor and Gavin go in and hit things, and so did Kazner actually, and then Zoom stayed back and shot things. So yeah, I'm interested about that. What about Tia? What about you? What are you excited for?
I'm really, it's my first time playing a human, my first time playing a non-magic user, and haven't played a kid in a long time. So I'm just really excited about exploring all of that for the first time. There's a lot of growth potential for Sarah, and starting her at chaotic neutral, like, I want to see what the world, like, before, like you said, we were all like saving the world and everything rested on our shoulders, and now we're in our corner of the world, and there's always that argument of environment versus upbringing, right? And so she's not going to have a quote-unquote upbringing anymore. It is going to be the environment that shapes this little girl in the way she sees the world, and I'm really interested to see, emotionally how that plays out for my character. And I'm really excited to play with Lucy because she's new and she's part of the family now, and we get to be together.
Wow.
So meeting new people and having new people in the campaign, like, it's what D&D is all about, is making friends and hanging out and being good times. So
the new face.
That's what I'm looking forward to most.
Absolutely, yeah. Jessica.
Well, let's see. This is my third time ever being a player, so I'm excited to actually just get to be a player instead of GMing.
You get so much. You're be so happy.
And Lucy's a precious, innocent sort of being, and I'm fully expecting her to be wrecked, and I'm happy with that.
Just get wrecked.
Just get wrecked immediately.
We already have, if you thought about it.
I already have.
Ronan, the destroyer of the Eider, like.
Yeah, so she's already been up to her neck in cement, so that's a good start.
Indeed, and it's gonna be all downhill from there. Speaking of it all going downhill, Will, same question to you.
Yeah, no, that is a perfect segue. I don't know what I'm most excited for. I'm excited for a lot of things. I'm definitely excited to have a new party member join us. I think I'm most excited for the change of like dynamic from season 1 and 2 to season 3. Just having the cast rotate out in terms of characters in the game is going to be like really refreshing, I think, because I felt like I was in a bit of a creative dump with Gregor by the end of season 2, so I was quite happy to see him go, really. So I'm excited to be sort of re-excited again for the campaign, if that makes sense. Yeah, new character, new game, fresh starts, new digs, that kind of thing. Sort of getting into it.
So this will be the interesting one for me, which will be I'm interested to see who steps up, because we don't have an established leader amongst the group, and we don't really have like the tough member. I mean, you've got a fighter who's 14 and doesn't really know too much about the wider world. We've got someone who's traveled quite a lot, but at the same time has been through some stuff along the way. There's probably a little bit of fear in her. We've got 2 guys who go back in the day, as it were. I can't wait to hear some back in the day stories, but who are very much. Not everyone is necessarily coming to this with one set goal, but at the same time, everyone's curious to see. Everyone is dependent on this gathering. Whichever way it goes, this is going to shape the worlds around you. So it'll be interesting to see who steps up into that role and sort of leads the party. Who is the social sort of the talker of the party. Who keeps the party grounded, if anyone. So it'll be nice to see how the dynamic works out, because I feel like this party will probably be a little bit more cooperative than parties we've seen before on the Long March. I'm not naming names. I'm not pointing at anyone.
I'm just sitting next to one. I'm kidding.
It's just like, is she still looking at me? Well, just tell me when she looks away, and I'm saying.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm excited. It sounds like Calvin, right? Calvin's like he seems like he's a bard, so typically bards end up being faces of parties quite a lot.
Yeah.
He's a good talker. Everybody
Good
becomes his
talker.
friend immediately.
Yeah.
We'll see.
You have a way with words.
If anyone can understand me, yeah.
Yeah. I guess maybe I don't necessarily see Curtis as being sort of a leader of people as such, but
Lucy is
I
not
think it
the
might be
face
one
of
of
the
those by
party.
default.
I don't feel
I think it's
like
been one of those things where it's kind of by
a
default, where all of a sudden it's like
socially
Calvin being
awkward.
like,
Calvin's
Yeah.
still got the biggest, emotional range. Whoa, you pervert!
just pecs.
No, get out of here.
That's totally what she did. I'm like,
yeah.
All right then.
Alrighty.
Alrighty then.
I'm gonna kill
see,
you.
the chat knows.
Yep.
Chad understands.
Everyone has the biggest.
Has the biggest
hat.
The biggest hat. The biggest hat.
Personality.
Personality.
Yes.
Personality. Wow.
I was gesticulating.
I
It's
know
a
what I
thing
said
that
about
people
a big
do.
personality. Yeah. He's got like really
That's what
big.
that's what the kids are calling it. It's apparently, yeah. So but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see also, yeah, how because when you come up with a character, for me, I always find that the first real test of the character is like first big interactions. Generally, even like combat for me isn't the big sort of test. It comes down to who is going to who's going to step up, who's going to take what side in a conversation.
Just leave me alone. Just don't.
Do you need to step up?
Is it hard here? It's just me. All those hats. Whew.
So many hats.
I'm a
say about a big
professional.
hat. Yeah.
Oh god. So yeah, it's gonna be fun, and I'm
The
looking forward
biggest
to that.
subway. Where did that get me?
Chad is continually killing us.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Oh, just gonna polish my knob.
I need a drink. I need several.
Whew. There we go. Oh boy. Okay, chat. Any last words? Any questions for us before we head out here?
Any
We've got about
last
an hour.
words?
Any
That's
last word?
We started on a little bit later than usual, so we've got a little while we can hang out if you guys want. But if you have any questions about it, I mean, particularly I think Tia had a lot of questions to ask, but to answer rather. But we can get to that after the stream, post production meeting, of course. But yeah, there it is.
Oh.
Oh, ladies, turn it off.
What is going on?
It's the serious deadpan face that I love most. It's just
He's so dedicated to the bit at this
Yeah.
point. Like, you should give him some experience or another magical hat. Give him a fucking magical hat.
Oh boy.
Your item must be a hat of some kind.
I tell you what, with glamored armor, you can have a hat as well.
Oh man.
A glamored hat.
There you go.
Like a hat of many fashions instead of a cloak of many fashions, perhaps?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like reskin?
There's actually a hat. There's a disguise
There you go.
hat.
Instead
A hat
of the cloak.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, 'cause- yeah, the hat of disguise is the thing. That's like a big item though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. Because that changes all of
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
you
check
know?
yeah.
I feel like since you've been playing Miguel, something has awoken within Tool School. You know,
Okay, you guys have to remember my previous life for 4 or 5 years was cosplay. So yeah, this is just you know after whatever, what was it, my 20th month anniversary, after 20 months, you know, I'm starting to, you know, finally get a little comfortable with you guys so I can start breaking out all the cosplay.
The Wild Stallions episode. Oh
my god.
Dude, I was truly upset when the guitar of Wild Stallions got destroyed. I mean, I was just like,
I saw your face just fall. It was just
I was just like, oh,
I know.
That was the best magic item ever.
I can't see you because we're on Twitch, but that camera is going to turn off at some point.
That camera's going to... Wow.
Oh, goodness.
Just you wait till this camera's off. Just you wait.
What weapon does Sarah use?
Camera.
Yeah, I believe you. I believe that entirely coming from you.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Ronan Z wants to know what weapon Sarah uses.
She has a dagger and a short sword and a short bow, again, relative to her size being, she is 5'2" and
2 inches taller than her dwarven companion.
Okay. 5'2", 90 pounds. She's got bright red hair, olive skin, green eyes. Think the Disney kind of snotty little princess. What was her name? Brave. Yeah. What was her name? Not Miranda.
Merida.
Yeah.
Merida.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of where I when I make my characters, I pull inspirations from different things that I really enjoy. I mean, Zune is very much so inspired by Raceland. No, really? This character will be inspired by kind of that spunky child. Yeah, that's her. So that's kind of... I've actually already gotten fan art for Sarah.
Yes!
Thank you so much, Translucent. I have a 47-minute video that was put together for her and like different posing and standing actions for her, and that just blew my mind to get fan art before the campaign has even started. So like the artwork that you guys do really like brings this campaign to life, and thank you so much. It is amazing. I can't wait to see all the stuff that we get from this campaign.
Yeah.
Shout out to the art team for making the overlay as well. Jovina.
Yeah. Oh, the videos and
So good.
Amazing.
It's beautiful.
So amazing.
There's nothing, Jenny, I'll tell you right now, there's nothing great for me. And like I was talking to family the other day, and they're always like, "So how's like whatever it is you do? How is it?" And I'm like, "Oh, cool." Like I understand it's a token
that
gesture,
conversation.
let me talk D&D at you for a good 2 hours now. But no, I know
you're one of those.
But I was just like, well, I can actually show. And I showed my cousin the intro, the trailer for Long March Kingmaker, and he was like, "Wait, this is like the show?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "It's," and he was just blown away by it. And he was like, "I need to play D&D." And I was like, "Yes, you do." And it's just so cool. So all that kind of, all the little flourishes just make things. There's nothing cooler for being a creator than to just go around and be like.
I've got like a comparison shot. I put it in chat earlier, but a comparison shot from 2015, 2016, 2017 to 2018, where we are now on the production stuff. It looks like.
Ooh, don't you just look back on your old stuff and you're just like, what was I thinking? And like every year you think it's the best thing ever. Yeah, look. Oh my god, look at how long your beard is in that.
Go back.
Okay.
Wait. That.
Oh my god, Will's like 5 in this.
It's
Ted.
Ripped Ted. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
What happened to Ted? So for those of you who don't know, Ted is like a bit of a meme with us because like Ted was here for like one show ever and then just never turned up again. As no one knows.
All right.
He was going through some stuff, but he
Ted had some real life things to deal with. We love Ted. Ted, you ever come back? Like he's a bit like
amazing.
A ghost. Like I feel like one day, you know, like Encounter roleplay cast members occasionally see Ted. And like, did you see Ted? He was here. He's just a myth.
Like, have you seen Ted? Yeah.
Oh my god! Like I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be like washing my face in the mirror later. Like bend down to like rinse off and then stand up. Ted will be behind me, and I'm just like, I'll call Will. Just like, it's happening, dude.
The old Swedish man. What a boy he was. What a boy. But yeah,
I feel like we're quick. Ted, if you're watching, we love you, man. You're the greatest.
Come back to us, Ted. What happened to you?
What happened? Come back, Ted.
Think about what we had together.
The long march. We find Ted at the end.
Oh god. Oh fucking hell.
That is funny. That is funny.
Oh.
All right then. Well, I think this is a. I tripped into the channel I left and went around Twitch. I came back and it's nat 20. There you go. That is a
Well done. Well done.
Yeah, done well. You've done well, my friend. But we're gonna wrap up today's stream. We'll be back. The next time you'll see me is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. No usual streams because it's my holiday week. I know how to take a break. Yeah, we'll be doing now. We're doing production stuff. So we're working hard behind the scenes until we can get season 2 to you next week. The Long March is every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. You can come watch us live here. Next week's us episode 1. So make sure you come and join us. Mark it on your Google calendars. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. Go back and watch all of the YouTube videos for the previous seasons of the Long March. You don't have to, of course, to be caught up, but you get some nice little good references in there, I think, if you have watched the previous seasons. Another shout out to our sponsors, D&Dice, Fantasy Grounds, City of Mist, and Kobold Press for making the season on Encounter Roleplay happen. We're in a kind of interim period right now, so we'll get into all that stuff properly next week. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun using Fantasy Grounds, and of course, always our beautiful D&Dice. Let's go around to cast and crew. Did we enjoy ourselves? Where can we find you guys online? Oh, also, if you guys are new, I've seen a lot of new people around in the chat tonight. Hit the follow button and join us. It means you can catch all of the rest of our shows and watch the Long March and the full schedule of shows that is airing. There's 8 shows a week on Encounter Roleplay now. Josh, where can we find you online? Did you enjoy yourself? All that good shit.
You can find me on Encounter Roleplay doing Long March, funnily enough. You can also find me over on my friend's channel on Salt and Sassy, where I play a level 5 kobold in an all kobold party. We spent 2, maybe 3 episodes going to a town because we heard that they served kobold in this restaurant, and you'd think we'd understand, but we're kobold, so we were just like, it's a free coupon, and they serve kobold. Luckily we were saved by an elderly lady who was like, they will eat you if you walk in. We were like, I don't understand the world. So that's a lot of fun. I play Donnie, who's a private investigator who is going through some stuff. We've taken over a goblin war and nothing could go wrong at all. We're on the quest for a kobold god. You can also just find me around on as Encounter Roleplay, and coming up in May 4th, I'm in a Firefly campaign, which is like the dream. It's happening.
I'm also in that campaign.
This one is also in it. I will be playing the pilot of our ship. This here is the first mate, and it's gonna go really well. She's playing really southern, and I'm playing
Miss Harriet Dawson, and I'm here to shoot things and ask questions later.
And I'm playing pilot, who's frightfully British, and he's the helmsman, and everything is going to go phenomenally well on this terrible journey into the black, as it were. So looking forward to that. And otherwise, oh my god!
I already want to punch you.
No goodness.
Oh boy! Thank you so much, and yeah.
You can find me on my Tia Zimmer on Twitter, on Twitch, Laura Lanny here. On Mondays, I do 2 campaigns, D&D set in my world of darkness and dynasties, a good DM versus bad DM campaign. It's really, really fun. It's every Monday at 2 o'clock on my channel or on the channel that I'm hosting. Hrothgar's channel has a bunch of numbers after it, and I forget what it is. Sorry, buddy. Tuesday, here on the Long March. Wednesdays, we're going to be starting up a prequel to the season 1 of Long March with Zune. Going to be a one-on-one DM taking turns experience. On Friday, I'm going to be part of the Firefly campaign over on Grimjack's channel. And also, later on that day, May the 4th, I will be role-playing Life on Mars, the Dictionary of Moo, which is done by Grant Ellis, someone else who works here on Encounter Roleplay. I'm going to be playing with Marcy, Kiana here from Encounter Roleplay, Summer, and there's someone named Matt Mercer. He's a guy. I drop things. He's a guy. They hurt me. And that'll be really cool. That'll be over on Grant Ellis's channel, and I think, I do a mud style D&D Discord roleplay that is set in my Darkness and Dynasty world as well. And I think that's all I'm doing right now.
Chill, just chill.
I play HOTS too.
Oh, you play HOTS, yeah.
Cool. Oh yes, another shout out to before we hand over to the tool school to Bastian, who is begins with a V, and I believe it said something along the lines of Fiermanche. Can't say it. I think it's Fier because it's from a European country with language that doesn't doesn't translate well to Essex English. Parlez-vous français is about as close as we get. But shout out to Bastian, he's been helping me run all the tech stuff. Fiermanche, maybe something like that. Fiermanche, something like that. He edits Turncloaks and is running all the production stuff along with me. So go follow Bastian on Twitter as well. He's been helping me out a lot. Tool School. Same as
I'm Tool
same as the Twitch. Tool School.
You can find me all around social media as Tall Squall. If you go to my Twitter account at Tall Squall, you can find links to all the other things that I do, including a campaign that I run on Saturdays at 2 o'clock, 100% for charity. This month we are supporting the Organization for Autism Research. It is a wonderful, wonderful organization, and in fact, I will be playing on Saturday in one of Grant Ellis's. We're going to be playing a Kingmaker, The King is Dead game, sort of more of a party or role-playing game that we will be collecting for that charity on. So keep an eye out for that on Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And if you come check me out anywhere else, just let me know that you found me at the Long March on Encounter Roleplay. Thanks.
And last but not least, Jessica.
Yeah, so I am Jessica. You can find me mostly all over the internets, but primarily on Twitter and Twitch as Little Cup of Joe. I stream video games, I stream art, I run a D&D campaign occasionally. And you may have heard me in some Skyrim and Fallout mods, because I do voice acting a lot. So if I sound familiar, that may be why. But yeah, find me on Twitter, Little Cup of Joe.
Great stuff. Well, my friends, thank you for joining us. Session 0 Long March. Hang around here. Gonna chat to you guys here for just a second, and we'll go host and raid our friends over at WebDN. All right, Bastian, take me out of here. Things are happening.